Oh, the sound's not quite right. It's creeping. It's not quite right. We got to ramp up the sound a little bit, brother. We didn't get the
Hey,
full
Bob.
effect. You're still a little low. Your microphone not be quite right.
Oh, really? Well, that's a bummer.
The
Yeah,
sound is
yeah,
not strong with this one.
yeah. The sound is weak, and with the force here. So yeah, we missed our emperor intro.
Such a good intro.
It was so sweet, and yet I don't think
I was
anybody at
ready
home could
for
hear
it.
that. So, well, Mike gets himself plugged back in, which is how technical Pops gets.
So was a
Gap
surprise,
After
isn't it?
Dark. There he is. There's Mike. Hey, brother.
All right. Well, now that I messed up that intro,
Oh, it's all right. It was there. It was there.
I
So,
I can do a take two. So
oh well, okay. Let's do a take two. All right, ready? Here we go. All right. All right. So we're going to next to Darth Roman. We're going to bring in Mike, Comic Relief Crusader. When he's dressed for the gig and has the proper way to prepare himself for the introduction that we are all waiting for, we know he'll be here. It's going to be so cool. Hang out, everybody. Oh, wait a minute.
Yes, finally, I've made it onto Pop's channel to talk about Star Wars.
That's awesome, bro. Thank you so much.
That's
there you go,
solid.
folks. It was solid. That was bringing the game. That's bringing the game. So yeah, good times, fun, folks. All blowing up stuff in the chat. It's great to see everybody. Pat S, of course, rolling up in here. Bobby hanging out with us. Yes, brother. It is hard to keep up. That was part of the goal, Bobby. I'll give you something to do for the weekend. Give you something to make sure you didn't miss. Enjoy those commercials with intros and outros. Whitechapel following around. Yes, brother. Thank you so much. Captain Phantom Nerd, brother. Awesome, man. Thanks, sir. Admiral Teague in the house. There we go. We're bringing it. Mike, let me start with you the same way I start with Roman. Let's talk about the first film experience, the first Star Wars in the theater.
Oh boy. Well, let's see. Way back in 1977. Yeah, I mean, I was 5 years old. My mom brought me to my brother and I to the movie theater. This is back in let me think now, in Barrie, Ontario, and to the movie theater, and brought us to Star Wars, and it was just wow. I mean, this was nothing that I've seen really since, the whole, how should I put it, the whole majesty of that. This is a huge galaxy. I mean, you've seen space movies before and whatnot, but for some reason it all felt kind of like enclosed, like like boxed in a way. But for some odd reason, it just seemed like Star Wars was just this big, huge galaxy of places here and there. You got the true sense of literally space, right? And that there was this huge, galactic empire trying to crush these little guys that just wanted freedom for all. And just for some odd reason, it just spoke to me.
Well, it's not some odd reason. So here's my theory, and again, there's a moratorium for those of you in chat. When you come up in here, you're not be in here talking about Disney and KK stuff, and that's not it. But one of the contrasts or the positives we can say about the original trilogy, especially, but he did carry it over into the prequels, was different environments, different color palettes. So I was on with ETEP, and we talked about how he had this look for Star Wars. So when he does Empire, he's like, okay, we had snow, and then we have oranges and cloud and space, and we have the swamp. So with Jedi, it's like, okay, no, we got sand again, but we're going to do jungle. It's like, okay, well, it gives you the flavor of not only different places and different feels, but the grandness of this. They refer to things like when we were, you were 5, I was 6, Roman were 6. We were 6, we turned 7. It's like there was an outer rim, but we didn't know what that meant. There was these references that they were like, okay, this is really cool. Everything was so dingy and broken and dinged up. You wanted things that were just like, oh, this has got a backstory. It's got a history. It's got and Lando and Han would refer to these things that happened past, like gambling in the show. I don't even know what that means. I don't even have a Falcon yet, but I'm ready. I'm ready when I get one. I'm ready when I get one. So Roman, you touched on the action figure stuff, the market. Before we get to the marketing for that though, that first year, I did a video. My earlier videos was we got the comic books first, right? They wanted those rolled out. That was part of the deal with Marvel. We wanted to come first. So I do a whole video where I talk about that. But we talk about trading cards, magazines, The record, I didn't do a video. I should have done a video on the record because I'm a 6-year-old kid. I'm pretty sure I got it for my birthday. My birthday was July. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure I got the album for my birthday. I don't know about you guys, but that picture book.
Did
The
you have
picture
the
book was
Disco Star Wars 45?
I did at some point. I don't think I got it right away, but it was on the radio like constantly.
It was the Disco Star Wars theme. Was
And I wish I had done something about on
all
that.
the
Yeah,
time.
all the time. What are some of the things else that you remember before the figures? Again, Joker did a great thing on this. Where he talks about he got the figure place at the promissory note at Christmas time. I didn't even get that.
Fancy.
He got the promissory, the early bird special. Right here's the box, an empty box with a promise. We'll send you figures. But for most of us, there was nothing. What were some of the things that you do remember during that year that had you so immersed? Why was Roman of the Empire so immersed in Star Wars in 1977?
One of the things that I mean, back then your little brain doesn't really understand, but I guess it does. The first Star Wars film, Star Wars, as we know it back in the day, was a fully contained movie. There, when it was over, we didn't consider sequels. We didn't think of things like that. It had a beginning, it had a middle, it had an end, and that was it. And if that had always been it, we would have been pretty satisfied at that point.
Yeah.
And of course, it was funny because the knockoffs came.
Mm-hmm.
The knockoffs are and it wasn't even like necessarily the action figures. It was helmets that kind of looked like stormtrooper helmets, these big plastic helmets, which were probably not safe to wear, but we did anyway, and laser swords and things like that. And you would play Star Wars. You would imagine play Star Wars with whatever gear you could get to, re-experience these things in your mind.
Mike, what about you? What are some of the things you remember? Because Gap brought up the picture book inside that record, and that's what I was trying to say. Yeah, I couldn't remember. It's those were the actual pictures. I'm like, okay, this is it. This is what they look like. And you were memorizing all these random factoids on the back of the trading cards. I was trying to read the novel, but it was
the bubblegum packs.
Way too. Oh, don't you get me started on cards. I'm about cards, guys. So I got a whole box of cards right here next to me. This whole box is the extra box of Star Wars cards. It's just the random box of just random stuff. So yeah.
You lucky duck.
Oh, I'm nuts. My wife is just, God bless her. What were some of the things that were at the top of your, like, oh man, this is what I was so addicted to, this element, that element. Yeah.
Let's see. Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, it was the toys and it was the comics, and it's like, I want to get all these things, right? And God, I played with them all. It's just, you're so immersed into this universe. And at the time, my parents couldn't afford, like a lot of toys because, I was getting into Transformers and all that kind of stuff. But we had Lego, and I know that when the toys came out, like the Millennium Falcon and your X-Wings and TIE Fighters and stuff like that, they couldn't afford a lot of it. So what did I do? I just took the ingenuity and built them out of Lego, right? And I would play with them outside, and I don't know how many Lego parts I'd probably lost just flying around an X-Wing that I made out of Lego and stuff like that. But I was just so immersed in it because, like you said, Pops, you had it opened up this world of different environments, right? First they're on like this big giant sand dune of a planet of Tatooine, and then next thing you know, you're hearing about Alderaan. And even though you really didn't see a lot of it, except for the planet that eventually ends up getting blown up, you could tell that it was a lush green world, and it opened up your imagination that the people that probably lived there were just very happy, probably very prosperous type of people. And then of course with Empire Strikes Back, you had this snowball of a planet of Hoth, and then Dagobah, which is just this big giant entire swamp world. You had all these different worlds, and your imagination just starts flowing. It's like, what kind of creatures could possibly be living on all these different types of worlds? And as a kid, your imagination just soars. And then, of course, when Marvel put out the comics, there was a friend of mine at the time that had, the big first issue.
That's what Roman was talking about, the big one.
Yeah, the big magazine issue, right? And it's like, you're reading along with it, and he had it. Unfortunately, I didn't get it at the time, but we're reading along with it. And it's like, oh my God, this is like so awesome just reading this, right? And it's like, well, wait a minute, that scene didn't happen. It's like, well, no, they added that in. That's not in the movie.
Right, Biggs.
And then,
yeah, we all knew about Biggs. We're like, Biggs.
We all know about
we all knew about Biggs, and we're like, Biggs wasn't in the movie, and then you can tell if someone was a normie or not because they didn't know about Biggs. Yeah,
exactly.
That was
and
the
like,
first normie test for kids in Star Wars. Was the Biggs test. Yes,
he wasn't in the movie, but you know what? And then later on, when LucasArts had all their slew of games and stuff like that, they had a CD-ROM that came out that had basically like this whole Star Wars encyclopedia on a CD-ROM, right? And this is like back in the Windows 95, 98 days and stuff like that. And it had on it deleted scenes from A New Hope that included Luke talking with Biggs and stuff like that.
That scene.
Yes, that scene. And I still have that somewhere, and I need to find a Windows 98 computer because somehow I'm going to try to rip those scenes off that.
It's
CD-ROM.
Probably on YouTube. It's probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've looked for it for years, and I can't even find it.
So,
but
I want to open up chat here in a minute. But Roman, favorite toy? The toy you're like, I want so bad, but it didn't come. Obviously, most of us didn't really get a whole lot of toys. Well, you didn't get any toys till '78. There were legitimate Kenner toys. And then it's usually people talk about Christmas. It's like Christmas '78. That's when the Death Star arrived
Sears
for a lot
catalog,
of kids, right?
Man, that was the
Sears
thing.
catalog,
that was a treasure box.
Yes. What was at the top of the list? Roman's like, this was the one. I mean, you mentioned C-3PO, but what's something else?
Excuse me, dying. So I was an only child. Which meant that the grandparents and the parents, the wolves that they were, at that point still gave me way too much stuff. So I got, when they came out, I got the Death Star. I had all the figures. I had all the ships, the Falcon. The Falcon, I think, of all the pieces of Star Wars that I had, and I had a lot. I had that AT-AT, all the stuff. The Falcon was my favorite individual piece from that entire Kenner collection because it was just so cool. Because there were so many little elements within that ship that made it fun. You had that little hideaway smugglers.
The smuggler can't be there.
Yeah.
They could sit in the cockpit. Everything. It was you had that gunner's turret inside the ship. There was just a lot of little neat things that the little Jedi training ball came with as well. The hatch opens, the landing or the entry hatch opened up on that thing as well. It was just like a million different things about that ship that made it so much fun. So I loved that.
Well,
they were all fun, but that was
I'm after the Death Star plans.
Kenner's Star Wars large-size action figures sold separately with movable arms and legs. C-3PO, R2-D2, Han Solo and the Stormtrooper.
You'll never find the plan, Stormtrooper.
You can push R2-D2's secret button to open his hidden compartment.
Plans are safe and the Stormtrooper's gone. Thanks, Han. I didn't get this medal for nothing.
Large-size Stormtrooper, R2-D2, C-3PO, Han Solo, each sold
shirt is
separately
barely
from Kenner.
You know what?
It's so
There's
fun.
an antique mall that's about maybe half an hour away from here that actually has those for sale in the box. Like all of them. Yeah. They got C-3PO, they got R2-D2. I believe they have Han Solo. I think they have a Stormtrooper. And they got a Wampa.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So listen, folks, I put the link in chat for you guys to come pop in. Come prepared with what you want to talk about, whatever, because I want to keep things clogged up. I know these two guys are on a time crunch, so I want to try to give them a chance to share a little bit if they can for whatever time they have. And it was funny how much the marketing towards kids worked so well. Like you would see these commercials and you were just so addicted to, oh my gosh, I have to have this, Mom. You don't understand. And I was telling someone that this was such a big deal that obviously you knew about the big stores, you knew about Sears and Kmart's, these type of things. But then you were scouring like the drugstore. You were like, there was like this Eckerd drugstore near my houses. And I was like, okay, I got to go in there. And he's filtering around looking for this random figure on the back of a box. Cause that was the pictures where I don't have this one. Where's this one? That kind of thing. So, Mike, was there any of those type of adventures for you where you're like, I had searched and searched and searched and
Yeah, let's see. I really wanted the do back.
The do back.
I
Do
had the
back.
Really
do-back.
wanted the do back. Yeah, well, because you're a little boy, and of course, dinosaurs were the big thing, right? And to me, this looked like a big dinosaur, right? And I wanted that so bad. But I never got it. I eventually got Boba Fett because I loved Boba Fett, right? What else did I get? I ended up getting from Empire Strikes Back. It was a I don't know, like some sort of troop transport with wheels, and
Oh, we'll
you
get to
could
that one. We can do that
you could
ad.
push it down, and and the wheels would go out like that. And
Yep.
I ended up getting the speeder bike, with the scout trooper,
Yep.
and
Hey,
oh
Joker.
god, I just
Joker's also in the house.
Roman.
I
All
loved
right,
it. Loved it.
before we go too far, then we'll give Mike some love. He can live vicariously through the commercial.
Now from Kenner's Star Wars collection, it's the Patrol Do-Back action figures sold separately.
Yes.
Let's find the droids. Do that. Hi, R2.
You can imagine you're a stormtrooper on the Patrol Do-Back, searching for R2-D2 and C-3PO.
Look both ways. Do back.
By moving his
Look both
tail,
ways,
you can make
Do-Back.
Do-Back's head turn left and right. You can move his legs, too.
Love it.
Oh my gosh.
The new Star Wars Patrol Do-Back from the Star Wars collection. Action figures each
man.
sold separately by Kenner.
What's up, Jacob?
Hey,
I want
everybody.
it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's so
That
fun.
thing was really cool for a couple reasons. One, when you put the stormtrooper in, you really couldn't see it in that video.
Yeah.
The way the harness was designed, it had little legs that were on the side of the do-back.
Mhm.
So it
Yep,
looked like
yep.
he was actually riding the do-back, not just, pushed down in a hole. Yeah.
And it had the
It was
rein. You
great.
could tuck the reins in his little hand.
Yeah.
His little blaster hand would hold the
Yes.
reins.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
really well thought out, even though it was obviously just something Kenner threw together that was dinosaur iguana close enough. Make it a do-back, people. Change the mold and get this done. Didn't have a do-back either, Mike. Just so you know, you're not alone. I had a
didn't
tauntaun
either.
though, and I preferred the
I wanted
tauntaun.
to
Oh,
do
yeah.
Oh, you have the tauntaun. Okay.
I had the tauntaun. I
Tauntaun was
love the
also
tauntaun. I
good.
got the
Which-
tauntaun and Hoth together.
By the way-
Han's in my box.
Which, by the way, how is Tauntaun best prepared? Lukewarm.
Lukewarm. Oh boy.
Ah,
Oh boy. You
You're
might let
all
it stay.
like the
I don't know. What do you guys think in chat? Canadian Spider-Man is in the house. Holy cow, bro.
What's
The
up,
house. Thank
Canadian?
you so much. But yeah,
Yo,
listen,
Spidey.
Joker did a great video with us. That was right before this.
Yes,
Um,
I'm actually still awake, and I saw open mic. I wanted to stop in. Pops, thank you for so much for doing this entire day. I commend you beyond the belief. I had two friends who I was on their channel not too long ago talking about the thank you, Max. Talking about the current state of Star Wars, and they've been pixie dusters for a while, and they're starting to see like, oh, wait a minute, maybe this isn't working out the way
mm,
we thought.
Yeah.
And very receptive, and thank those guys for hopping on. That would be Dork Wars and Pop My Culture. I'm here to say thanks to them, thanks to you, thanks to everyone here. Those commercials have just, I've had a smile on my
Oh, yeah, man.
wider
so
than
much fun.
normal. And the fact that you
Yeah.
mentioned the Burger King glasses, I remember those. That is the
I
first
have
time.
Yeah.
That is the first time I ever heard the term Sith, because the Darth Vader
Yes.
one said Darth Vader,
It is
Dark
Lord
Lord of the
Sith.
Sith.
Yep. Pat, actually, if you're
Yeah,
not,
because
if
it
you're
always
not on,
made me
with
wonder
Pat on
what's
Twitter.
Sith.
Right,
Yeah, Pat,
exactly.
right. Yeah, it wasn't covered in the cards and stuff yet much.
Yeah.
Pat actually posted a photo. I think it was Father's Day, where one of the glasses broke. So he posted a photo, and it was like, oh my gosh, there's a tragedy in the house. Like, what has happened? So it's fun.
Right.
It's fun. So Tim is here. All right, and making Trek references. Okay, well, all right,
All right.
we'll see.
Okay, I'm sorry. I
yeah,
lied.
no.
I thought I had the glass. What I have is in some kind of plastic
mug.
coffee cup that my kids got me. They
Okay.
found at a shop.
Nice.
It's got wrapped up Han and Leia
and
and
Luke,
Luke in
yeah.
the suits.
Nice.
Of course,
Nice.
it's blurry, so you can't see it. But yeah, so yeah, these are pretty good. It's also full of quarters, but
All right.
R.I.P. the Luke glass. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Listen, don't sleep on thrift stores, yard sales, flea markets, these kinds of things right now at the buyer's
Yeah.
market. Get a gauge for where things are selling, especially with auctions, because when the economies soften, people don't want to spend money on their collectibles, and it's a good time to, maybe look at something that maybe you always wanted and you can finally get your hands on. So
Yeah.
True story. And I just stopped in to say hi because I want to thank Pops for doing all this. And I saw Roman was on, and I'm just glad he got here safe because his sense of direction is terrible.
It's
I know.
true. I actually got stuck on the outer rim for a little while, but then a stormtrooper was like, if you just look at the way the arrow is going, you'll go the right way. I'm like, oh, thank you, stormtrooper. And then I got here. So it's
Okay, good. And I am tired. I'm going to bed. So, because I've been up since I worked till 8 a.m. and I've been up just being giddy.
Yeah, he was up early with me. So yeah, he's been up. So go take a nap, my friend. Take a nap.
All right, buddy. Love you guys.
See you, Joker.
Love you, buddy.
See you, Joker.
Yeah, Cannoli's passing through. Nos is here. Also all good stuff. All good stuff. So yeah, he got one. I got one for a couple bucks. That's great. That's great. So
So did you guys recollect or augment your collections or buy your kids things when the new rounds of Star Wars stuff came out? Because remember, we talked about this before, Pops. Everything was dead for such a long time, and then they sprang them on us again. The new line of Star Wars stuff.
I have some of my Power of Force stuff. Go ahead, Mike, while I get it organized.
I did with some of the Lego Star Wars because I've always been a Lego fan. And when they started coming out, it's like, God, this is a merger made in heaven. So, but when Rogue One came out, our youngest daughter, she liked the film, and she liked what was it, the reprogrammed Imperial droid? I'm trying to think of his name now.
Oh, K2SO.
K2SO, yeah. And when we saw the god awful prequel other movies, she liked Captain Phasma because it was just a chrome stormtrooper. She liked the chrome stormtrooper, so I got her that. Even though she really didn't like the movies all that much, she just liked the fact that there was a chrome storm. I can't even talk.
The look of the character was super cool. It was neat looking. I mean, that's before you knew anything about it. You had these kind of cool figures that started rolling out, and it's like, oh wow, that's really cool.
And that was about it. So But
yeah, so for me, Roman, the answer is absolutely yes. They were watching. I said this earlier that my daughter was 2 years old. I'd have Star Wars on, and she would pause from time to time, hearing different things, curiosity. So they were raised with this their whole life. So when the movies came back around or whatever, they were obviously into all that. But before that, I was already on the Power of the Force hunt with the orange cards, going to FAO Schwartz, looking for the FAO Schwartz exclusive ones, and whatever. So this is part of their stuff. Now, this is just, I have 5 kids, so it's not all the stuff, but this is one little box I found of the Power of the Force stuff. So yeah, you can see how like how mannish Princess Leia looks.
They were very peculiar looking. That line
they kind of had this He-Man muscle.
We've all been to the gym over these last 20 years.
Yeah, she looks quite muscular.
Yeah, they're doing steroids like crazy. I don't have the buff chested Han Solo handy. I had the 2 other versions, which actually are pretty good.
What was your favorite Han Solo, Pops, of the original line? What was your favorite Han Solo?
My Hoth one. Ooh. My Hoth one who could ride the Tauntaun. It was because they came together. I'm 99% sure that was my birthday of like 80. Was I got the Tauntaun and the Han Solo Hoth with it. I got to be honest. Han wasn't at the top of my list when it came to figures. Obviously, my Boba Fett is the treasure. I showed it off like 2 or 3 times already. It's my treasure. It's like totally off limits for me. The kid's getting that one. It's still my original one. I will say this: when I went through this box, I was impressed because I have both the boys. Neither one of them have their Vader. I have both of them, so I don't know who's missing a Vader because I have both their Vaders. So
Excellent.
I just enjoyed. They really were. They're not articulated the elbow yet. These are still Power of the Force figures and not
right.
Because we didn't get to it. And I have Padawanami on later, so you want to see figures and a sample of just the ridiculousness of how many characters and how deep and wide it get. And I have no hate. I got to be honest. I loved it all. Had a good time.
Now I gotta ask you, Pops, for your Boba Fett figure. Okay.
Yes.
So which one is it? Is it the original figure, or is it the other rare original figure with that has the pop out missile thing?
They don't. The pop out missiles never went.
went.
The pop out missiles never went to us. That's sort of an urban legend. So it said, you can.
Oh
Listen
no,
to
I've
the
seen one.
No, I'm not saying they don't exist in the world. I'm just saying they didn't go to us kids. So it didn't go out into the market for us to buy.
Yeah,
there's a documentary called The Plastic Galaxy that talks about the action figure stuff.
Yeah.
And you're more than welcome to check out that. It's free on YouTube now. I meant to do a review and I just didn't get to it. And it sort of kind of goes into, it was a thing. We had to pull it because of what happened with the Battlestar Galactica kid. Right. And reality is, there's a few that are kind of out there. The prototypes are out there, all this kind of stuff, but it wasn't something that was available. So I have my original, just the regular one, not like some weird.
Same.
Yeah.
The funny thing about those original figures, their articulation was terrible, but we didn't care.
Oh, yeah.
We were just so happy to have them. Their arms were like straight, that whole motion thing. The lightsaber shot out of the arm.
You saw it in the commercial, the 12-inch commercial with C-3PO's hand to push the button, and it's like you're holding him. He's literally laterally like this to hold the button, like boop, like that was like.
We were just so happy to have them.
It was so exciting. We were so addicted. I just, I think I pinned the link if you guys want to join. I see Zach's is in the chat, folks like that. So.
You know what? When a friend of mine told me that it was actually an actor inside R2D2, I did not believe him.
Kenny Baker.
Me neither.
Right? Yeah, I didn't know. I'd never assumed that I didn't even know when I found that out. It was a long time before I realized there was a dude in R2D2.
I know, right?
I think it's one of the storybooks or something, or maybe it was a Star Log that had like the behind the scenes photo. Thank you, Padass. Padass is showing off.
Yeah,
Badass is showing up. He's got the saddle and everything, baby. He's rocking. And look at Han. Han still got his gun. My stuff's a mess compared to Badass. I freaking joke.
But the reason why I didn't believe him is because here in Canada, at the time, I think around 1980 or something like that, there was a children's magazine called Owl Magazine, and if any Canadians out there, they'll probably remember that magazine. But there was a guy that was in Ontario, I think around the Ottawa area, that actually built astromechs, right? Like actual working robots, right? Of like R2D2 and different variants and stuff like that. And they were robots, and that's why I thought, there's no way that there's a little midget of a guy that's inside an R2D2 costume when this guy's actually building it. And that's why I didn't believe it for like the longest time until what was it, Kenny Baker that played R2D2? That came out, and it's like, it was like so cramped in there. It's like, oh my god, there really was a prison in there. Dang.
So one of the treasures,
an
OG 35-cent number 7.
Han, blasting away. Yep, I remember that one.
Yeah, the first one after the story ends at 6. So
there's a store actually literally right beside me that has some of those old Marvel Star Wars issues for sale.
Yeah, the old Marvel ones are nice. I actually got to be honest. It's like I got to get my financial world like totally streamlined and fast tracked so I can kind of like take advantage of this buyer's market, man. Because I'm telling you right now, it's just like a gold mine of stuff that needs to find a new home. Yeah, because it's just this stuff doesn't exist. This stuff is rare and really hard to find. It's just the demand has softened so much on Star Wars stuff. It's such a great opportunity to have a conversation like this, talk about stuff we love. So, Zach is on the road, so he's doing his thing. So, but Zach's also on the side.
They're looking for this stuff, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
We got money usually.
Owl remembers Zach's, or Zach's remembers Owl. There you go.
Yeah. The Kenner articulation's what killed the G.I. Joe line for a second. Then Hasbro acquired Kenner. Yeah, I know. It's just yeah. Well, listen, we were envious of G.I. Joes as toys. We got it. I mean, they were super cool. But reality was Star Wars was just such a bigger thing for us. Yeah. But so many folks are in chat. I didn't say hi to everybody. I am so sorry if I've missed you. I apologize for that. It's just kind of, my day is like a whirlwind right now. So you guys bear with me on that part of it. So, and Jacob, I'm hopeful that today will help, encourage you for that rewatch, man. Just strap in, have some fun, just reminisce about your love and that first experience kind of thing. That thing, it's awesome. So,
You know what I always wondered about Chewbacca is the sash belt thing that he had always across his chest when I was a kid.
bandolier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked like it had these little packs on it, and for the longest time I was wondering, like, what is that? Is that like a utility belt of some sort or what? I didn't know
I
when I was a
imagine
kid.
he carried Chewy snacks in it.
Probably,
Yeah,
yeah,
'cause
little kibbles and bits.
we were told it's ammunition, but they shoot lasers, so that never made sense to us. And then
Maybe they were
I'm
battery
with
packs or something.
I'm with Roman. I'm like, it's just Chewy snacks. With a body that
Yeah.
size, he had to eat all the time. He's got a higher
Well,
metabolism than I do.
He needed to have some kind of clothing on. Granted, it's just a strap, but otherwise he would have been really awkward looking
Yeah,
because he's
true.
naked.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, Nas, go back and watch the holiday special video that I did with Troy. You want to go back and deep into the holiday special? Troy Pacelli actually has he made a version of the Kenner Toys ads selling you the holiday special toys. It's amazing. It's incredible. So with that, we'll take a pause. Welcome in Copa, who I haven't talked to if we want to call this in person, I'll take it because congratulations. I know we've messaged and talked about it, but I haven't had to talk to you. Like, say, hey, brother, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm completely wrecked. I do a live stream late at night, and the daughter makes me. She punishes me for it. So I didn't get to bed again until 6:30 this morning.
Oh,
and,
buddy.
You could have just jumped right on my stream. I was already going by then.
That's what I heard. I woke up to your voice. Jana was watching you, and I was like,
Princess Copa was enjoying her first Star Wars dates with me. So that's what I heard.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I can't stay long, but I kind of just wanted to hop on the stream and just enjoy a little bit of this day. So here I am. I have a bit of a Star Wars story because I was born a little later than when Star Wars was initially released. It's more of my brother and my sister's movie. Like they were around for mom took both of them for opening day of Star Wars, and Empire was a little bit before my time, but I was only one when Return was released in '83. Yeah. Anyways, so I got all the hand-me-down toys that were broken and busted by my brother. I had the AT-AT that had the sliding door, and you could put all of your characters in there and stuff like that. But the door was busted, so the toys always fell out. Like the AT-AT was just throwing them up out of the side of it. But the interesting story is my mom, because we had a big backyard. Even for Los Angeles, it was a huge backyard. We had a persimmon tree and a cherry tree back there. And my mom was like, my brother's name is Tony. She's like, Tony, he buried a lot of his Star Wars toys in the backyard. And I always wanted Star Wars toys. And, growing up like in the late 80s or early 90s, the Star Wars toys weren't selling anymore. You couldn't find them in the stores. So I just started digging holes in the backyard, and that really pissed my mom off because I'm digging up her grass, but I didn't care. But she's like, "Yeah, it's under the cherry tree, Pete." So I would dig underneath the cherry tree vigorously because you could dig there. That was just soil. So I dig, and I found one, and it was Luke on Hoth.
Oh wow!
Nice.
Yeah, and that toy has survived with me. We used to have
that's a great story.
So I still have it. I was trying to pull it out for the stream, but I couldn't. Well, that didn't sound good. I was trying to find it for the stream, but I think the only lunchbox that has survived is my Temple of Doom lunchbox, and it's in there somewhere, and that's in storage. So, but we had an Empire Strikes Back lunch pail with the thermos still. and I can't
Oh, yeah.
find that
Wow.
anywhere.
Oh man,
had
the
the
thermos
red
is
spot.
the thermos is the gold mine. That's the gold mine to get the
Exactly.
thermos.
They did not
Yeah.
survive well.
Yeah, before I
No.
get to Shield Wall, let me say this. All of us have had jokes throughout today talking about the stuff that's been lost in our yard. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, Copa actually went and dug up one of the treasures.
Oh yeah,
You're
you
like,
can't tell me
you're
there's
like a
treasure.
Star Wars rock star, baby. That's freaking
Yeah,
amazing.
dude.
I
Yeah,
have
dude,
one
you-
probably
Legends are
still
true.
in a hedge where I used to live in St. Andrews. That's probably still there. And I haven't
All
lived
right.
there since like 1991.
Yeah. Well, Shield Wall is here. Admiral Teague is here. Welcome, gentlemen. Hanging out.
Shield
Happy Star Wars
Wall,
Days to you
Admiral.
both.
Hey.
Happy Star Wars Day, guys. It's good to see you. I remember the first time I saw the movie. It was incredible. I even remember
Yeah.
when we got gas before the movie. It was so burned into my brain that night.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my goodness gracious me. Well, let's do that in a minute. Let me just try to catch up on a little bit of chat. Hail to all of you folks. Laser guns use batteries. Okay, Daniel. Cool.
That makes sense.
Dark Horse, yeah. Dark Horse has got a great run of comics, man. I'm telling you. It's good stuff out there. I just reread Heir to the Empire. It's all right. So happy anniversary to those. Yes. Yeah, the holiday special. Yeah, well, there's some scars to run deep. Okay. I know Nas. Nas is trolling. Gotta keep your guard up out there, folks. I tried to send Mags a link. Mags, that didn't work. It wasn't that hard to find for me, but maybe that I don't know what StreamYard's showing me a mess. I have no idea what YouTube looks like. I tried to send you a link for something I found on eBay rather quickly. So those are out.
That link looks like you're trying to reprogram R2D2 or something.
I have no idea what happened with that link, but it was just like it's a quick eBay link. Just later on, Mags, when you're on Jedi with me, let me know. So sorry about that, guys. Anyway, so hail to all of you folks. Shield Wall and Admiral Teague, thanks very much for hanging out. Shield Wall, first and foremost, what is the first Star Wars movie in the theater kind of memory? You got one of those kind of cool stories or anything?
So I remember when it came out. I wanted to see it so bad, but my parents wouldn't go. They were both busy. I was like a latchkey kid or whatever. And then by the summertime, I would go see my grandparents, and they were like old. So they were like, we're not going to take you to see that. They were more like, we're going to take you to see Disney or whatever. They weren't sure what it was. They just knew it was popular. Jaws had been popular. So they equated it with that. It was going to be scary or whatever. So, but it wasn't until the next year that my grandmother took me and my brother to see it in the Dollar Theater. It was like $1.25 or something. But that was back when you could get a soda, a large popcorn, nachos, and the theater ticket for $5.
Wow.
Back those days. But yeah, so that's when I saw it first, was the year after it came out. Then I saw it every other time in the theater, except for Empire Strikes Back. I had to see that on second generation VHS. That's how I saw it the first time, because I was already living in Japan by that point. So
Admiral Teague, you remember where you got gas?
I remember where my uncle got gas because, of course, the church stands in the way, and they stand in the way, and they stand in the way, and I wasn't allowed to see the movie because it had a paganistic belief system and was denounced from the pulpit. Like, that's a way to have people have fun. And my uncle had to see it with his kids, and he's like, no, there's nothing wrong with the movie. We're going back to see it again. And that's so I saw it like a week after it came out. My uncle's like, not only is it maybe I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, to my mother. So I got to see the movie. I think I went the whole movie without speaking, which just says a lot. And I remember it was the first movie I ever saw at this new concept called a multiplex, and it was kicking the shit out of Looking for Mr. Goodbar. We're playing in the other theater.
Wow. No, I mean, yeah, you go ahead.
We stopped at Corvettes to look at clothes before we walked in. That's how, if anyone remembers that.
No,
I think there's
you got
two
me on that
guys
one.
next door. But I think I'm the oldest person here by a lot.
I think back in the day, they were predicting that Smokey and the Bandit was going to be the #1 movie that year of '77.
I think so.
And
it was a fine movie.
Yeah.
No joke. No doubt. Smokey and the Bandit is a fine movie, and I think it was number 3, because Close Encounters came out the same year, and that's how Spielberg has 10% of Star Wars. Is the fact that he bet George Lucas that that Star Wars was going to be the #1 movie of that year. And Lucas was like, no, Close Encounters. So they bet 10% of their own films against each or for each other.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Huh.
Yeah. And that's how Spielberg had 10% of Star Wars. Wow.
That's,
Little
that's
piece of cake
weird.
there.
The same parents who said Star Wars was paganistic took me to see Close Encounters, so I don't get it.
Yeah, my parents took me to see, or not took me to see it, but they went to see it. I remember them. They went out on like a date night and saw it. And when I came back, I asked how it was, and my mom kind of basically told me the movie as a bedtime story. So I kind of knew what it was going to be about.
That's
before.
just giving me bad memories of the end of Last Jedi when the kid's like, and then Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And I had to ask myself, how does anybody know this goddamn story? Like, it was like Kylo Ren was apparently running around slashing at the thin air to his own guy's point of view.
And then when I finally saw Close Encounters, like years later, again on second generation VHS, I was underwhelmed because it wasn't as good as how my mom told the story.
Well,
oddly enough,
also you probably, I mean, one, it and Star Wars are not really
Totally different sci-fi movies.
Yeah, they're different.
Yeah.
They're totally different movies.
Worlds apart as far
Right.
as
Yeah, they're both good in their
galaxies, actually, far away.
He's not wrong.
But Pops was talking earlier today on the premiere about the different toys, and you had like the ads and stuff, and man, that was really bringing back memories. And but if me and my brother and our friends wouldn't have just been so destructive as little kids, I would, I'd be sitting on a gold mine. But I can't tell you how many Star Wars miniatures that I destroyed with fire or ran over with the lawnmower.
What they're meant for. Come on, you had fun as a child.
You bury them halfway up to their head in the, and then you have a giant machine run over them, and so we're hitting with the weed eater and the lawnmower.
See, Darth Roman over here. Darth Roman over here is an only child. He can't relate to the destructive nature of the things that we did. It's like, oh my gosh, we were just like, everything is so beat up and battered, and we were.
That's
just
why I said Darth lucky.
we were just at like an outlet mall, and a guy had like one little shelf that no one was paying attention to, and they were all originals. I was pulling them up. I said, "Baby, she's got the better eyes than me." I said, "You check this date. Make sure this Slave 1 says 1980 on it. What does this Slave 1 say?"
Yeah.
And they were torn up from the floor up, but at least there was pieces there to work with. And I was like, it still wants way too much.
That was another fantastic ship. Speaking of cool things,
that
Slave One was
removable
an awesome
carbonite.
Oh
ship.
yeah.
Now known as
and the sound that it made as the engines were going, right? This
now known as Living Wage One for all those who might be wondering.
We're not making Disney KK references, all that stuff.
3/5 one.
Wait, what did you call it? Living wage?
Living
Wage One. Yeah. Why the fuck not?
Universal income one.
You know what? When we see it in its new incarnation, it's Living Wage One. And the first voice I heard on Star Wars Day was Pop.
Yep.
Right? That caught him very early in the morning.
Yeah, that's true. It was an early morning this morning. It's been a lot of fun talking Star Wars Day all day today. So yeah.
Or as the Board King just said, reparations one.
Yeah, reparations.
I want reparations from fucking Disney for what I went through seeing Return of the Jedi about 2 weeks ago, because at the beginning, honestly, at the beginning of the movie when they go to throw the rebels into the Sarlacc, like the Book of Boba Fett comes to mind, and I'm like, this is a stupid plan.
No.
They're going to destroy that Sarlacc in 1 second.
For you, hey Brandon.
They ruined Jedi for me. Boba Fett came out of the box ruined. Hey,
all right. Anime guy is in the house. Brandon, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. I'm actually about to go get some ramen because, I love Japanese food and ramen's delicious. I did get a new poster. Let's see where to go. There it is. Yeah.
Nice.
This finger. Yeah, that one. It's an excellent film. My Star Wars memories are seeing Empire Strikes Back first on VHS, then Return of the Jedi, and I didn't see the first film till I was like 7 or 8. And I remember my grandfather telling me that he took my mother to go see Star Wars and that he himself went and saw about 3 or 4 times in the theater because it was in the theater for years, and that was the only way that you could get it.
Yeah,
And
that is
then
so true. And yeah, it was. I remember no matter who I was going to be with, I was begging them to see it again. And it was like bragging rights, guys, right? It was bragging rights of how many times how many times have you seen Star Wars? That was the equivalent of nerd bragging rights back then.
that it was.
Well, that
And
was
for
the good thing about having it on VHS is you could watch it over and over and over again.
and wear out the tapes, unfortunately.
That was years later.
I did
Yeah.
go
We used
and
to-
see it in '97 during the special edition re-releases,
Yes.
and
Yeah. So did I.
that was
I
a lot
skip
of
that
fun.
once every month.
Where
the
Greedo
re-release
shot
came out.
first.
I still
Wow.
have those on VHS, even though I don't have a VHS player. We used
Who
to
is
have
this
those.
Greedo we speak of? And
Right.
why did he shoot first? Oh, wait, he didn't. That's because
That's right.
Han shot. That's it.
Our accounts are mixed, right? We have mixed witness reports on that one, but I believe Han shot first. I saw him pull his gun and blow him away under the table. What's up, Brandon?
Exactly.
In a court
Hello,
of law.
everybody. So I'm gonna go get some ramen, but I thought I'd stop by and share that. And I do have my one TIE fighter.
There he
and
is.
that's
That's
all.
our segue. Brandon is on with me later. It's a 4:00 Eastern time premiere with the TIE Fighter anime, a little anime talk. We squeezed something in there because I'm a total noob, and he showed me something I hadn't seen before. So that's always fun. And by the way, that one is still copyright flagged, Randy. They're not going to let go of it, but I kept it in. TIE Fighter versus TIE Fighter is a clip that's worth seeing for that premiere in and of itself. So even if they don't care about what we have to say, seeing that clip is great. So
Absolutely.
Brandon, brother, love you, man. Hang in there. Keep strong. Talk hard, baby. Talk to you soon.
See you later, everybody. Take care.
See you, Bram.
Take care.
Take it easy, Brandon.
I have to go back
Hey.
to Copa digging up an action figure. I don't know about you guys, but
With-
you want to go
with
on a
that,
Yeah, that's
Bob,
fascinating.
I'm gonna have to eject.
Yeah.
No,
I cannot
How's it
stay
look?
on target. I apologize. I
No,
have
no.
to,
You had limited time. Thank you. So any other last thoughts or things you want to
I
say?
do
real
want to
quick?
share just a very brief, funny story. It's funny, peculiar, and funny. Haha. My wife, Mrs. of the Empire, and her brother are a couple of years apart, and he had all the Star Wars stuff when he was little, but she was like a girl and liked to do girl stuff. So she made him play Star Wars Family with the action figures. The Jawas were the kids. The Tusken Raider was the wife with curlers in her hair. So
Wow, that's awesome.
those are peculiar times. But yeah, so that was Star Wars in their house. And then one of his older friends was a jerk and sat on his Death Star and crushed it. So, but,
Wow.
but for me,
no.
it was all magic, baby, all magic. So thanks,
Roman, keep
thanks
in
for doing
touch.
this today, Pops. This is
Yep.
it's you've got a grand day for everyone planned. So thanks for letting
Yep.
me pop in. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
nice meeting
Keep
you,
in
brother.
touch. We'll talk soon.
I'll see you guys around the interwebs. Peace.
See you, dude.
Yeah.
Later, Roman.
Hail Darth Roman.
Yes.
Only
Yeah.
a master of Italy, Darth.
Yeah, seeing drive-ins. Oh my gosh, Star Wars and drive-ins was another whole experience. Like it was just so different because you were like, that's like cosplay central when things for people would cosplay back in the day to go to the drive-in to see stuff. So
Yeah, so there
and
was
Matt
two.
brought up another great memory. Sorry,
I
I
would
want to
have
this
a
last
problem with that
Lucas in
because-
that shirt. It's great.
In that year, Star Wars at the drive-in through like an AM radio speaker. That's a little bit okay. So it costs like 75 cents for the whole family to see the movie. Let's remember that. How much did everyone pay to see Star Wars? My uncle paid like 50 cents to get me in.
Yeah, so there was two drive-ins near my house when I was a kid, and Dad would take us to like Empire or Return whenever they would play. And I remember, those little speakers that would hang on the window that you just pull up and it clips onto your window. And then I would run out and just start playing in the middle of the in the middle of the cars and stuff like that while I was playing. And then a lot of times I would be watching like through the rear window, like, oh, what's on right now? Oh, like Batman is on, or Indiana Jones Temple of Doom was on, and I was like, oh, I was watching those two. Man, I had so many good memories of being in the drive-in. It's actually kind of appalling that they got rid of those. Like there's still one in Southern California, or at least in the greater Los Angeles area. There's one in Riverside, and I saw Terminator Salvation there.
Nice.
And it was legit like a fun atmosphere. I just don't understand like why they got rid of them.
In the summertime here, in the
profit,
town
they weren't profitable. There was money. It's about charging money.
They'll do like a drive-in, theater during the summertime here in the town that I'm at, and they'll just put up this big giant screen, and then at a certain time when it starts to get dark, and just people just start driving in and watching movies.
Yeah, they have one in Los Angeles where they'll project the movie on screen and you park in a parking garage and watch it.
That's kind of cool.
And they project it on the side of a building. Yeah, it's really
Nice.
that was really cool. But they only do that during the summer. I don't know if they do that anymore.
I remember when Empire came out, and oh god, there was like a huge lineup. And my dad actually wanted to see Octopussy, which came out at the same time.
He's not stupid. I mean, come on. I'm with your dad on this decision as an adult, at least.
Exactly. But it's like, what was it? My mom said, no, you promised everybody that we're going to go see Empire Strikes Back. So,
and he was like, but she has 8 pussies.
Well, yeah. But yeah, it was such a long lineup, but it was so worth it. I think we were probably in line for about an hour outside in the summertime and just waiting and waiting and waiting. And I think I got, I think it was like a plastic cup, an Empire Strikes Back plastic cup. And I think probably it's still, hope to God, that is still over at my mom and dad's place all the way back in New Brunswick. So, so mom and dad, if you're eventually watching this, please don't throw it out. If you find it, for the love of God, please save it.
Who has their Burger King glass tumblers still?
Well, I know Pat S does. He's got a whole set, and they just had a tragic loss of one here recently. So, yeah, some of us have. I don't have my original Burger King or the Taco Bells that came later, things like that. But I did. My daughter-in-law did give me some of the reprinted new ones. But yeah, some folks do. They're not as expensive as you think. I would have thought they would be harder to find, especially if they're still, where all the stuff's not rubbed off. But yeah, Pat S showed some earlier. I don't know. It's interesting to see what has become, like, I want to say collectible or not collectible, because some things like that are just not. And I think, Mike, you brought up the jumbo size comic book earlier. I saw one of those in like a thrift shop for like $15.
Oh,
I want it. It wasn't in the greatest of condition, but it was there for like $15. I'm like, oh my god,
I don't care.
Yeah, so it's just like one of those things where you just go around and just kind of look and see what people have and things like that. It's like I said, buyer's market.
Because I think the guy next door, and I mean, he sells a whole slew of stuff. I think he has issue 10 of Star Wars, the Marvel one.
You live next door to a comic store or a crackhead?
Actually, it's more like a. It's kind of like the guy has everything. Right, it's more like a kind of like an auction place of sorts, right? And he has clothes, and he has like drones and stuff like that, and he's got boxes and boxes and boxes of comic books. And I know that occasionally, he'll have Thor.
That's a pretty cool find. Yeah. There you
go.
Oh
yeah, I like that. And
so you live next to
a thrift store almost.
A human eBay
of sorts.
Like a physical eBay. Okay.
Yeah. And he's got some Marvel Star Wars comics. So eventually whenever I have the time, I'm just gonna flip through all those.
The stories are actually decent. Why they wouldn't look to those for a source? Does anybody remember the comic book arc of like 6 or 7 issues where they go to the casino at the edge of the galaxy, and Han Solo has to go in the middle of the casino where there's no gravity and fight other like weirdos with a pin needle laser, and he's got a little hand shield? The stories were so much better than what we saw on screen.
Well, the thing was when Lucas approached Marvel with doing the Star Wars comics. Sorry, Pops, I don't mean to interrupt. He said that certain things were off limits between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, because it was, at the time when Star Wars came out, he told Marvel that, you can't talk about this and this and this and this and this, because he was still working on Empire Strikes Back. So, that's why you have a lot of these kind of weird, goofy kind of adventures in between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and then of course, with Return of the Jedi. And so
the comics are canonical at that point.
Yeah. And so a lot of them were just off limits for storytelling that they couldn't write about.
Lucas hated the fact that they created the Jackson, the giant alien rabbit. He hated that. He thought it was terrible. That was horrible. So things like that. He was like, we got to wrangle this in. So Archie Goodwin got on the phone and got a little slap on the wrist. Like, listen, man, we got to wrangle this in. So, Kobe, you got to bail soon. So what are some of the other cool stories you could share, man? I got to be honest. I'm still hung up on you playing amateur Indiana Jones and digging up an action figure in your freaking yard, bro. That's so amazing.
Well, my mom and dad, they made the mistake of telling me that there's treasure in the backyard, and so I was like, okay, well then I'm digging up holes and I'm going to find this treasure. It's so when I found that Luke Skywalker, and it was it was the Hoth Luke Skywalker. I was like, oh my god, like it's true, it's here somewhere. So I started like digging for the Millennium Falcon. Like somehow my brother buried that or something. I don't know. Like I had it in my head that like my brother just buried all of his toys, so I couldn't play with them. So I just started digging holes in the backyard.
That's awesome, man.
But that was the only one that I found was the Hoth Luke Skywalker. I really, really wish I knew what happened to that Empire Strikes Back lunch pail though. Because we did have the thermos with it,
especially the thermos. I got to be honest. Anywhere I go and I see a thermos, I forget which one we were at, and it was something. I want to say it's like Dukes of Hazzard or something. They wanted like $100 because I had a thermos, and it was like beautiful. I was like, my wife's like, looked at me like, "You're not actually going to buy it." No, I'm not buying it. I'll be in trouble. You gave me the look. I know. I got it. It's not Star Wars. It's not Marvel. I get it. I know what the rules are. I got it. So.
Did those have the glass liners or the plastic liners in them? The thermoses.
Yeah. The first one I had a glass one, but those are gone by 1975 by legislation.
Yeah, I was about to say the Empire Strikes Back one was plastic.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I got messed up from one of the glass lined ones as a kid. I drank, like it got broken. I thought it was just ice because I was so little, and I just drank it, and that was a fun experience.
Yeah, we a lot of drive-in talk in the chat, and just so you guys know, we're really having a hard time in Florida because you got to keep your car running to enjoy it because the mosquitoes are so bad. So it's like one of those things where it's not a good fit for Florida. So we're just not working. So and Polly is going to be here soon. We have Polly on with us, so that'd be kind of cool to be able to that's with Polly as well.
Nice.
So yeah. Copa, like, what's it like now? You got like Princess Copa. You've been like reading and watching movies with her and things like that. How's the world feel differently now in the pop culture perspective?
It's I can't wait until she gets a little bit older so I can enjoy the movies through her for like the first time, you know what I mean? But what I've been doing is when she gets home, because she's flip-flopped, so at nights she's wide awake and during the day she's mostly asleep, so I'll pop on a movie. So it was Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer. And then I popped on Vin Diesel's Riddick trilogy, and she wasn't having that. So then last night it was Total Recall. So I popped on another Arnold movie, and she was relaxed. So she's about the Arnold movies. But I think with Total Recall, I have a theory about why she's so relaxed with Total Recall. That soundtrack has such a melodic, sleepy tone to it that it was just lulling her to sleep. But when that movie stopped playing, though, man, she was wide awake. But yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait until I watch these movies again and just get to watch her reaction to them and stuff like that, good, bad, or indifferent. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Amen. It's awesome. Well, I'm glad you were able to hang out with his brother, share a story or so, and just have a good time. And hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day and do something Star Warsy as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop in Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi, I go back and forth on which one's my favorite, Return or Empire. And I've come to the conclusion that Empire is the solid film, in a filmmaker's perspective, and Return is the more entertaining film.
I got to agree.
I don't know what it is about Return. If you skip over the musical element that they added in for the special edition, which is effing ridiculous.
Terrible.
It's just so bad. You skip over that. I mean, it's a pretty entertaining film. And especially, I think that has the best lightsaber duel out of all of them because it tells a complete and full story.
I think people
And-
get hung up on Jedi, and we'll have a Jedi stream tonight. We'll hopefully get into some of the criticisms of Jedi, and it's like, the biggest thing people get hung up on are the Ewoks, and I'm like, well, first off, if you don't know that Lucas wanted Wookiees, then we really can't have a conversation because you're not allowed
Right.
to throw stones at Ewoks until you know that. So,
And
good
they
assessment. I'll go
cannibalized
with
they
you.
cannibalized the stormtroopers. Not many people noticed that, but they cannibalized the stormtroopers and cooked them and ate them. So that's pretty cool. I mean, those little things, they're pretty dangerous.
Yes. War
And they're
teddy
about to
bears.
cannibalize. They're about to eat Han and Leia and Luke. So
Absolutely, that's it.
So
They don't want to spick it.
Yeah,
they're rolling pretty hard, dude. I mean, yeah, they might look cute and cuddly, but they're going to eat you to death.
Well, Copa, I'm so glad we were able to hang out, man. Thank you so much for hanging with me.
Hey,
bro.
thanks for having me. Glad to be here and glad to hang out with all
Yeah,
you guys.
nice to meet you,
and-
Copa.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
you guys,
awesome, guys.
everybody take care.
All right, later, man.
All right, have a good one.
Matt, my brother.
Well,
Thanks. Good to see you, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Am I good on audio? Do I sound okay?
Yeah, you sound
Yeah,
good.
yeah, you sound good, Matt.
Yeah. I was lucky. I'm in the middle of doing work with databases and stuff, and then this pops up, and right now my groceries just get here right in the middle of all this. But
Nas is throwing out some thoughts. So yeah, stuff's
so I heard
coming.
what Copa was saying about Schwarzenegger and his kid. There was a thing like magazine articles and newspaper articles back in the late 80s or 90s. Little kids found Schwarzenegger fascinating for some reason. Like they would stare at pictures of him wherever he was. They don't know, like there were all sorts of pop psychology articles, like maybe he looked like a giant baby, or maybe little kids, like there was a protector thing because he was like manly and all. No one knew, but it was a documented like pop phenomenon. When anytime there'd be pictures of Schwarzenegger, little kids would just like, like they would just be fascinated, even babies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. No, didn't know that. So, I know we got folks that are going to want to come in here too as well. Let me go back to Admiral Teague, man. You were going through like a very minutia driven details of that first thing. Were you like into like the toys and all the shenanigans, and like is there something at the top of the line of the toy list and the fun playlist?
I think my first toy was the 1.0 Kenner Han Solo, and it was the coolest thing. I thought it was like the greatest thing ever. You know what I mean? It was like I loved Han Solo. I thought that movie was about him. I didn't realize I loved all the other elements. And as a little kid, I guess the one thing that sticks out of my mind is there was like even sitting there as a child, a few elements of the only other movie I really understood were represented there. Like there's some Wizard of Oz in Star Wars 77.
Sure.
The droid, I mean, 3PO is a lot like the Scarecrow. It's such a perfect movie. As far as the toys, like that first Han Solo, and I think X-Wing pilot Luke was next. And who didn't have a terrible story of losing the gun and the toy just wasn't complete anymore?
Oh, there's a whole, like I said, Copa digging up a treasure. Says I talked about if I knew when they were selling my grandparents' old property, I would have just bought it up just for a few weeks, just so I could scavenge the backyard for things that I probably left bare. I knew where I played, so if we could just get in there and scavenge and do a little archaeology work, I got a feeling I could find some lightsabers, stormtrooper, and Han Solo guns, and maybe
same way.
Yeah.
Whoever
maybe a
buys
couple of stand people,
whoever buys my mother's house will have that opportunity. And I just think maybe Copa's parents are really smart. They're like, if we get our son to bury his toys, you don't have to dig up and aerate the lawn this year. And like 4 years later, they're like, there's Star Wars toys out there.
Yeah, there you go.
They're
Well,
very
Shield,
smart
what about you,
parents.
brother?
Yeah, my thing is that I saw A New Hope, and then we went overseas. So those other two movies came out while I was over there. So I didn't get a chance to really. It's kind of weird because the toys were there, but they were like almost a year behind when we got them, and we didn't have access to all of them. So I could see the ads, but I couldn't afford to buy them, and so because I think most people only got like maybe their birthday or Christmas was when you got your
pretty much.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So you couldn't mess around with like, I want this niche one. You had to go for the big ticket items. Like I want the X-Wing. I want, I want the Sandcrawler if it was even available. And so that's what you would get.
That was the figure carrier, if I'm not incorrect, was the Sandcrawler.
Right.
The
There was also
one.
the Darth Vader head.
That's for Empire.
I think it holds like 80.
The carry case.
Yeah, the carry case. And then
Yeah.
so there
Well, there
were,
was a Vader. There's a Vader case, a 3PO case, and a rectangle case.
right.
Those
Wasn't
are the
there
three
a
cases.
Yep.
The Sandcrawler is actually a vehicle.
Oh.
I think it's like the AT-AT though. You could put a whole bunch of figures in it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it
what
might have been dual purpose.
Oh, it's huge.
what
Well,
wound
right,
up
because you could put all
happening-
your figures in it and carry your Sandcrawler. Had all your figures inside. It was awesome.
My friends also had a land speeder that was allegedly remote control, but what it really was it had a clicker, right? And when this thing recognized a loud noise, it would just randomly change direction.
Mm.
The
Yeah,
front
and
wheel
that
would
and that
just spin.
and that's what I was going to say is, so you would get the one big ticket item like you get the X-wing or a bunch of minis or whatever, and then your friends would have the other stuff. So
Yep.
you would have to go over to their house and you have to bring all your stuff with it, so that combined you could actually do something fun. Like they would have like the Death Star mock-up, and then the other person would have the cantina. So you'd all get together, but then you get all your stuff mixed up, right? And then your Snaggletooth's gone, and
Yeah.
it's because your friend took it from you, maybe on accident. Who knows? But,
You
Shieldwall is
You
still on the
actually
hunt for
rem-
his missing Snaggletooth. Go ahead.
you actually reminded me of another Star Wars store that I had. Let's see, back in the day, God, there was like this arcade that we went to in St. John, which at the time was about maybe an hour away from where we lived, right? And there was this arcade, and I think my mom and dad, they took me to it, so my brother and I can play a few video games and whatnot. And they had, like this little store kind of thing. And what was it? And I got this little die cast land speeder, Luke's land speeder, that was about, I think probably about maybe this big. And it obviously had Luke in the driver's seat, and it had 3PO and R2D2 sitting on the back of the land speeder. And for the love of God, I haven't the faintest idea where that went to.
I remember that.
I
toy.
think that is the
But it was
same
die
toy
cast.
that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. The one I was thinking was plastic that my friends had. But yeah, these toys and this movie brought people together. You wanted to get together with your friends. You wanted to fantasize about the movie. You wanted to play with the toys. Me and my cousins who saw it, like that was like for the next 3 years, we just mentally, like whenever we got together, we fell into the roles to play Star Wars. And who knew, right? What it would turn into.
But I mean,
Not
Pops,
even
you know what?
George.
I gotta thank you for this, because it's just bringing back all these memories of Star Wars toys and stuff that I had that I haven't even remembered like in ages.
Yeah,
this is.
that
So let me
die-cast
share.
land speeder and stuff like
Let
that.
me share this one, because this is one I never got, and I'm like, every time I see this commercial, because I haven't been playing it a lot, it just drives me nuts.
The Rebels return. You can relive it all with Kenner's Star Wars Return of the Jedi collection.
Rebel attack squad ahead.
New
Gosh, I
Imperial
wish I had
shuttle,
had this
US
thing.
put together batteries not included. Action figures each sold separately.
After him. Excellent, Lord Vader. Death Star signaling. Ring up. Prepare to land. Landing gear down. Ramp engage. This battle station better be ready.
Did anyone see a commercial like this when you were a kid and you saw the kid like
No.
flipping the blinds around?
Yeah, I
You're
know.
flipping the blinds
I
around.
didn't
You're like,
even know
I
that
never
was a
thought to do
toy.
that. Thank you for the idea. Good idea.
But that's what you did back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
that
actually
was
have
a
the
known
model
thing,
of the
the
shuttle
blinds thing.
Tidarium.
Yeah. I this ad just makes my head hurt, because I'm like, I don't remember having this like at all. And God, I wish I had one. And now I've seen them. And of course, you know how that's life is. You don't see something for 35 years, and the next thing you know, every time you turn around in a thrift store or something like that, you find one that's still in the box. You're like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
yeah. That stream
I
that you
didn't
did
even.
earlier
it's not-
today was kind of like the Field of Dreams. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the memories will be so thick they'll have to wave them away from their face like flies. And it truly was. You would show like the commercial and then the holiday special and all that, and it just starts all coming back, stuff you haven't thought of, in decades.
I didn't even know Shuttle Tidarium was a toy back then.
Oh my gosh, it's
That
so
is
cool.
I've never
surprising.
seen it.
There were so many Star Wars toys, though. Like there were even like toys of things that didn't happen in the movies if you weren't looking hard enough. It's like, who is that character? And it was some bounty hunter that Lucas made up and never actually put in the film or whatever. Just
The
I remember watching
stormtrooper
the
transport that held
Yeah.
6 stormtroopers. That wasn't in any movie, but it was in the comics.
Yep.
well, a lot of those like EU guys saw all the toys and said, "Yeah, that looks cool. Let's throw that in there."
It's in the Mandalorian, that troop carrier truck.
Yeah, I've done that commercial today for sure because there's a lot of talk about that thing. So, I know that
Did
I
anyone
think
look at the
Gord.
Sears catalog, just planning which one
Oh,
you were going to get, right? And pestering your
yeah.
parents like, I want this Millennium Falcon. I want this Millennium Falcon. And they're like, well, you got to pass math.
Well, and we go back to the holiday special video we did earlier today, and it's like we pull up some of the ads, and we were talking about how that's how you get the blue snaggletooth. And Troy was talking about how he sent his parents out looking for the blue snaggletooth, not realizing it was a Sears exclusive with the Cantina set. You couldn't get it in stores, so they're wasting all this time rolling through Kmart's and Toys R Us's looking for this blue snaggletooth. It's so fun. So,
And for a while, some of them were only available with the mail-in proof of purchase.
Yep.
Right.
yes,
So
the Emperor
yeah,
commercial.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we did that too. So,
And
Matt,
yeah,
what about you, brother? What's like a figure or toy or memory or something like that? Throw something
Well,
out there, man.
I used to do things because I would intermix all my toys together. Like for example, like I had a big fan of Chips, the TV show. So Ponce and John would always help Luke attack the AT-AT, you know.
Way to go, man. You got to do
And
it.
it was kind of funny, and then afterwards I was a fan of a show called Emergency, and I had the full size ambulance toy for it. So they would come up in the ambulance and administer first aid to all the wounded. You know?
Sweet.
And then for those who aren't Chips aficionados who would know this, in the 4th season they decided that Ponce had always been a 10th degree black belt in karate, right?
Yeah.
So I guess because in real life Eric Estrada was a black belt, but so then I would have him like karate fighting Darth Vader and Boba Fett, you know. So like that's the beauty of the kid when you're toys. You control it all in there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told you before, I had a hand-me-down mom, so my toys are getting passed along to the next grandkids, and like, and I mean, I just like griping. They got better sort of treatment in this regard than I did because at a certain point I stopped getting any toys, you know. But regardless aside, so I have to go to my next oldest cousin's house to pull what I just look at my Star Wars toys. You know,
there you go. That's funny.
You know?
Well, I was the same way too, and I said this too. After the 3 3/4 inch had been out for a while, you had all these other different IPs that started to have their own figures and lines, right? So I had a Micronauts had some cool toys, by the way. If you never checked out Micronaut toys, they were wicked. They were articulated. They had these spring-loaded ships, so the ship you'd push a button and like the cockpit would separate from the other.
Yeah,
and all that stuff would all be blended together. And like you said, Matt, this hodgepodge stuff of your imagination, this world that as far as you knew, it was out there on some sort of planet in George Lucas's galaxies. That's for sure. So
there was so much stuff. Like I had the Star Wars sticker. Was I talking with you or was Roman about the sticker books in the 80s?
We talked about sticker books. Yeah.
Star Wars, Empire Strikes, Return of the Jedi sticker books are all filled out with the stickers. I had the Return of the Jedi trading cards, plus tons of extra. I don't know what happened to them. I mean, I'm sure my mom.
Were those the puffy stickers or just the regular flat ones? You know what I'm talking about? Where in the 70s they had those stickers that were puffy. They had like foam in them.
Those come around a little later. Yeah. I think those are like late 80s stickers, honestly. Just maybe they existed before, but the popularity came later.
The stickers, they came in packages, like small versions of the baseball card packages, but they'd be sealed and you get like 7 stickers or whatever in there, you know?
Yeah.
And they work like trading cards though. They would just, we'd have to buy the sticker book so you can put them in the book.
Yeah. What about the games, guys? Because I want to get to Gord King. Gord King brings up the love of like, this is when I came up earlier too. We haven't given this game love because Shadows of the Empire and the rollout of Shadows, which is like this story that happens between Empire and Jedi. It happens in the 90s, right? But it rolled out with the novel, the comic book, action figures, the game, the whole Shadows of the Empire was almost like a mini drop of new Star Wars stuff for everybody to get in. You guys have a big Shadows of the Empire. There you go. There's one of the cards.
I have an audio clip. There was a CD. There was actually a soundtrack CD for Shadows of the Empire. I have still
OG
a clip of it.
Series 2, baby.
I have a clip of it actually on my computer from one of the music pieces that was written for Shadows of the Empire. I had it on the Nintendo 64. I had it for my PC because the cutscenes were different than the Nintendo 64, so I had to get both of them. And
that's awesome.
Beating that on hard was, oh my god, next to impossible. But apparently, if you beat it on each difficulty level, the ending, like right at the end of the game, was different. apparently.
Yeah,
On
it was.
yeah. And it's such an underrated story. It is so
It's a
awesome.
great book.
It
The
is.
novel was written
Yep.
by Steve Perry, who wrote a whole bunch of really good Conan books, by the way, plus other stuff. But the unrated Conan stuff and Shadow of the Empire. And the novel, it's Lucas actually counted as part of canon, by the way. That was his first
Oh, yeah.
EU canon. The novel was Luke trying to figure out how to turn the Force on all the time. Like he could do it,
Yeah.
and it would just he couldn't keep it up instinctively, you know.
Yeah. But you had Boba Fett and all the bounty hunters. You had just crazy action, lightsaber stuff. It's great. Paulie's in the house. How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's
Ollie.
happening?
Happy
Thanks
Star
for the
Wars Day
invite.
to you, my friend.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is cool. Thanks for doing. What are you like 24/7 or what's going on?
It is. Well, it won't be 24, but it's going to be long. It's going to be long and hard, and just doing what we do. That's the way a Star Wars nerd should roll. So, yeah, man. What's the first Star Wars movie in theaters? You the OG? Can you go OG with it? I'm not sure. I don't know how old Paulie is. I don't want to judge.
I was 7. Absolutely.
7. All right. Yeah, we're same age.
Okay. Wow, we're all the same age here then.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm the youngest one out of all of you then. Jeez, that was 5.
And look at you.
I know.
I was 4.
You look so smashing. So,
You
Paul,
were
what was the
4.
first
There you go.
first experience there? What was that like? That seeing it in the theater, being the 7-year-old, and the nerd lore that some folks, I guess, I've been blown away, Paul, how many people didn't experience that. So when we try to describe these stories, people are just like, "Wow, I didn't even think of it that way."
You know, it was I was 7, so my imagination, was not so much with the film. I mean, the film, I just remember it being like, just loud and big, and the lightsabers, and as maybe a year or two later, I would get more of the story, but the imagination took off right away. It was like, I had to get all the toys. I was a spoiled brat. I grew up a spoiled brat, only child, so I got everything I wanted.
Roman was the same way earlier, and the funny thing about Roman was we were all just talking about how we destroyed so much of our stuff, set them on fire, attached firecrackers in the dirt, in the ice. We did, and Roman, of course, the only child, he had everything. He was like, "Oh God, no! Oh my God, no! I can't imagine you destroy."
Yep.
What was Paulie's house like? Was it pristine stuff, or was it like, no, I set it on fire too?
No, I didn't. No, not Star Wars stuff. I melted Army Men and cut up G.I. Joe heads.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
We had to make sure there was some normalcy there. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But the thing with the first Luke Skywalker toy I got was that the lightsaber, retracted in, and you push the lever through the forearm, and the
Yeah, it came
lightsaber
out the arm. Yeah.
Dude, that was everything, man. That was
Toys
everything.
Back then were great. They were dangerous and everything. So not like ultra safe.
Dangerous everything. Yeah. And
Here's
the
actually
Jawas had the little claws.
There's this little slot. There's a little slot to push out his little lightsaber right there.
Oh, thank
There
you,
you go.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could probably 3D print one of those up.
Don't even talk about it that way. Just go find one.
Yeah.
Go find one.
Let's keep it OG, man. No 3D right now, dog.
Gotta help the market by putting some money back into the OG stuff. Wouldn't that be fun? So
I'm going to search for the Star Wars lightsaber up for Luke on eBay.
Hey, real quick. Thanks for having me on, Pop. I got a phone call. I gotta go.
Shield Wall, no problem. Anytime.
Yeah.
Shield Wall.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Peace,
Have a
brother.
good one.
See ya.
But the movie going experience, the big deal for me is when I was 9, I was able to go on my own to Westwood Village, where my dad worked at the time. For years, he worked there. I could take the bus, and we did those things back then. We did a lot of things on our own back then as kids. He would give me money, and I went to see Empire Strikes Back 9 times at the Avco Theater. And it was a very, very cool theater back then. It's and that experience was everything. I mean, I felt represented in Luke Skywalker as a little brown boy in LA.
Who envisioned having a yellow lightsaber that slid out of his wrist. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. The Falcon toy.
Oh,
I got them all. You know, I don't know what happened as far as like where they all went. I gotta assume at some point my mom gave them to relatives that that weren't well off as we were. She did that a lot with our clothes and toys. Like again, I was spoiled. My mom hit the employment jackpot early on, and it was just me and her. So, you know, but we always like, you know, had a bunch of relatives that weren't as fortunate as us. So we would give a lot of toys away and clothes. But
my mom did the same thing.
Stark's pointing out the destructive nature, and earlier I showed off. This is the Vader that I used for Empire Strikes
oh
Back.
my
where
god,
he didn't have a head because he had to have one that was. I don't know where my intact one is. This is my box, and my box doesn't have that. I have my other stuff, like I showed you, Luke. So I have 3PO and Chewie, and I've been showing these off during the course of the day. I'll save some of the Return of the Jedi's for later. But yeah, those are mine. I have my kids. Some of the Power of the Force ones with that. But yeah,
that one is Dagobah Vision accurate.
People actually sell replacements for that lightsaber. I can't find an original one, but it's crazy. Like an original Black Series Luke Skywalker lightsaber is like $13 pre-owned. You know, so it's crazy.
No, they're actually I have a cloud car. It's in my home office, and I don't have canopies. And it would be cheaper to just buy a new vintage one box and complete than it would to buy 2 new canopies. So I just keep it like it is because it definitely reflects my childhood where the canopies were blown off in battle, obviously.
Hold up your figure again, Pops.
What's that?
Hold up your figure again.
The Luke one?
Yeah.
He's doing research.
I want to see like if it's the same one that's $100. That's $150 right now on eBay.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Mine's in pretty bad shape. I mean, he's yellow, he's dirty, he doesn't have a saber.
I can fix that for you, Pops. I know that there's a way to fix the yellowing. Yeah.
Daryl the Derelict's been blowing me up about using peroxide and sunlight. He's got like a whole treatment plan. So we've been discussing how to salvage some of these. So yeah,
there's another similar to how you would clean up an old keyboard or computer. I see a lot of videos on.
See, look, this is the droid. The droid. This was like paper, right? So this would just wash off. This, you know, you get them wet and dirty enough, and this one also has a marble stuck in its butt. So there you go, droid. You got clogged up. No third leg for R5.
That happened a lot with mine.
Worse for wear from the planet.
I'll send you the
I don't know why I took some of those figures to the bathtub with me. I have no idea. But that's where a lot of them
in the bathtub, in the dirt. It was I used to freeze figures so they were trapped in their own version of carbonite. It just whatever it would take to enjoy it. Yeah,
I did that.
I'd be in trouble for that.
I had a Han Solo figure, and I put him in water and put him in the freezer, and he was like frozen in carbonite.
I remember, but you guys, I'd be in trouble for that all the time.
Who talked about going to, like, you know, was it yard sales or vintage shops?
Absolutely, it's the way to go.
If you want to get this stuff cheap, drive around your neighborhoods and look for those what do you call them, yard sales, like when after someone dies, and they'll sell off some dude's collectible stuff for like nothing.
I was just in Pomona a couple days ago, and I found an antique store that had you know, all those dozens of booths, you know, and they had exhibitors in there. You know, no one's there. They're just displayed. And man, they had a lot of stuff. In fact, someone in the chat talked about the micro machines. They had a pack there.
Yeah,
micro machines.
It was either that or what I ended up buying was Thrawn.
Ooh,
and it's from 98.
That's a greenback. Yep, green box.
Yeah. I remember that figure.
Yeah.
And the packaging comes down
the flip down
a display.
Play set. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's artwork is right out of the Heir of the Empire #1 comic book right there. That's what that artwork is on the back there, Paulie.
That's what it said.
Yeah. I just read that.
So I had that's my latest Star Wars. And then in a couple months ago I got the Darth Vader case, which I used to have. Everything you guys talked about, like as far as like the Stormtrooper,
the Darth Vader helmet action figure case.
Yes.
I remember that. I had that, and that's one of the things I gave to my cousin.
Oh yeah, I love mine. Yeah, I gave mine to a relative as well.
I didn't
When
do
we
it
do-
voluntarily. It was mom.
And the
When we do
clips are
the,
still on.
Clips are
when we
there.
do the, when we do
Clips
the
are there.
Padawannabe video later today, the Padawannabe video is at almost 4:30 Eastern time, so 1:30 your time, Polly. He gets to a point in the show and tell with his figures where he's showing clone figures. And he pulls out a Darth Vader head and just opens it, and it's bursting full of clone figures where he's got like 3 of them in each compartment. Like there's just and it's like they're all colored. Like there's a bunch of purple ones and green ones and red ones and yellow. It's crazy. So we're all just the same. It's so awesome. That's awesome.
I gotta ask this.
Did have a Pez in there.
Oh,
There you
sweet.
go.
Darth Vader.
Who
I have a Pez in my home office too.
Who watched in the early '80s the Droids cartoon?
Oh, I
Yeah,
remember that.
Droids and
Droids
Ewoks.
and Ewoks, baby.
Yeah,
Droids and Ewoks.
Exarcoon.
Yep. And my mom bought the 3PO cereal like religiously when it came out. My God, I ate that by the box.
Wow.
They
It
just
tasted
remastered
so
those
horrible.
cartoons.
Yeah, it tasted so horrible, but I loved it. It was just like I couldn't eat any more of that stuff, but I ate it just because it was 3PO. 3POs.
Was anybody old enough to walk out of Star Wars thinking a little bit about Star Trek and the Doomsday Machine? Because I remember thinking there's a lot of things. Later on, it came to mind that a lot of things in Star Wars worked because of stuff we saw in Star Trek, like shields. We just knew what they were.
Well, there was a lot
Yeah,
of science fiction that Lucas drew off. He drew off of Dune, big time.
Yeah.
He-
Yeah,
big
there's a
time
ton of
Dune,
stuff.
So I mean, there was a whole weight of.
It's here.
Sorry, Matt. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say there was a whole
I didn't
like,
play it automatically.
gestation of like sci-fi like when Star Wars happened and became that big, like and Superman right around the same time, and Star Trek Motion Picture, there was sort of a weight of, I guess you would say, cultural accumulation that made it to help make them all big.
Yeah.
Here you go.
New force at breakfast. We'll call them C-3POs. New C-3PO cereal from Kellogg's. Twin rings, haze together. For 2 crunches in every double O. A delicious part of this nutritious breakfast. Now you can experience the taste of
What is
Kellogg's
that thing?
C-3POs.
What monster
A
was that?
crunchy new force at breakfast.
What
Oh, it's so
alien
much
was
fun.
that?
I don't know. That's great.
I need to know what that alien is now and where it came from. And is
So,
it
and if anybody
canon?
knows, the droids actually did release some action figures, and since that's where Boba Fett's his first, like this big figure, these droid things were so rare. So all the droid action figures are extremely expensive if they're still in the package, and that there's a Boba Fett that's like the animated show version and things like that. So yeah, that's another dive deep. I get it. This is the kind of thing where I could have done like 25 more videos and just kind of dive deep. Each one of these things have a rabbit hole attached to them. It's just crazy and fun.
Now I gotta say, who here, like I know that it's got a lot of love-hate kind of thing for it, but the holiday special, I remember watching that in '78 around Thanksgiving time on TV, and you gotta love it for what it is, because like back in the '70s and even in the '80s, let's put it this way, like in the '70s alone, there was probably like about 90 different variety shows, because variety shows were huge.
Right. It was Star Wars Donnie and Marie style, if anyone remembers that.
Well, yeah, if you were a little kid, you probably loved the holiday special because it was Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I was definitely confused by it. I loved the cartoon. If that makes
was
sense.
the Christmas special, I think. The holiday special was the live action one, and the Christmas special.
but there's a
These
cartoon
were
sequence in
woven together.
Yeah.
Matt, there's a
the way-
cartoon
the way I
sequence
saw
with
it.
Yeah,
Boba
it was
Fett in it.
it was real confusing.
Yeah, it was
Wow,
weird.
because the
It
cartoon
looked
was
like
broken
the
up
guys
into
from
like
the movie, but
3-minute
it wasn't
chunks.
the movie, and then it wasn't like it was almost as if it was kind of like Halloween. Like it wasn't quite right. Like
And it
Something's
wasn't like
wrong
the
here.
it wasn't like the animated Star, or at least the Marvel Star Wars we had seen drawn either. So it was doubly confusing if you were plugged in that way.
And they were just and it was just, from what I remember, it was basically just one set, right? They were just hanging out and reuniting. I can't really remember the story.
We had like
there's
one and a
Life
half.
Day. It's
One and a
Life
half
Day.
sets. One and a
Yeah.
half
So-
sets. We had a cheap Millennium Falcon that was very different. We had some stuff from the movie thrown in. And then we also had Art Carney and B. Arthur and
my God.
Jefferson Starship. At the point
Harvey-
where
Oh,
Jefferson
that's nice.
Starship played a bad song, I was like, there's something going on
Harvey
here.
Harvey Korman plays 3 different characters, and one of them is in drag.
Yep.
He clearly
So-
didn't know what he was
The
doing.
4
So
hours.
Star Wars and drag was always a tradition. There you go, guys.
Yeah. So listen,
Doing
so
the cooking
we did a video
segment,
this.
yeah, with
we
the
did a video this
forearms.
morning with Troy Pacelli, and Troy actually does a rewatch reaction to this holiday special every single year. So that's why I had him on, and it's truly
I
incredible
actually-
going through this thing. It's awesome.
I
I
actually
haven't
have
seen
a
it in
really
years.
I have a really good copy of it that's been slightly remastered. It's not like the crappy VHS versions that are floating around the net. This is actually a really good copy. If anybody wants it, I will send it to them.
I have an
Well,
MP4,
and
so
on-
I'm.
Listen,
on that
don't
note
all
of-
speak up at once.
On that note
Okay.
of giving, Pops, I do have some giveaways that have been sitting here.
Ooh.
And however you want to do it, but whoever wants them will definitely have to pay for you guys have to pay for the shipping, but they are unopened Taco Bell episode 1 free toys.
Oh wow! Look at this.
Cool.
I have a dozen different ones.
Cool.
Again, I got these a
Nice.
few years ago at a pawn shop.
Wow.
And I already have one of each for myself, but if you guys want any of these, we'll figure it out, Pops, but I'd love to give them away on your
All right.
Star Wars Day.
All right. Well, guys, in order to win one, it's the first one to mention the new toy that Paulie said he bought. Who remembers what Paulie said he bought? What was his new toy? So there you go.
Panelists don't count.
Yeah, they were here. They were hopefully paying attention.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So let's see that hit the
These
chat.
are pretty dope.
Who remembers what Paulie said he just bought? He showed it off for a minute. It was pretty cool. So yeah, it's awesome, Paulie. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I thought like this would be perfect. So,
Padawallaby's like, I like stuff.
I like stuff.
Yes. So
You want me to open one up?
Yes, Gord King's got you. There you go, Gord King. You got to hit up Polly, work out your shipping. There you go. Yeah, Gord King wins. Yeah, Thrawn. He went out and showed off his heir to the Empire Thrawn figure. It was his first thing he just got. Good job, Gord King. There you go.
The Jar
Check it
Jar
out. There's a
came
Jar
out.
Jar.
Awesome.
Darth Maul. Yeah, the Darth Maul one I think is a ship. And let me find that one. Well, I'll put my email. I think the best way to do it is just email me, guys. Let me put that
There you go.
pop in the last.
He's got a few of these to check out. So yeah, connect with Polly, take care of the shipping. What's it, probably about $10 or so to ship it?
But depending on where you live, I'm in LA,
Yeah, that's
so
true. Yeah.
depending on where you live.
Cool. Very, very cool. Yeah. All right. You guys let me know. Paulie, should I put the email in the chat? I don't
Yeah,
wanna-
sure.
Okay. I didn't want to blow you up there and have 57 people.
No, I got tons of these too, so we can have. I want to give away more than one. Gord King. Here's the Darth Maul. Oh, it's oh, that's sick. Oh man, the Darth Maul's sick.
Ooh.
It's a.
Oh yeah, that is pretty
He's
cool.
ready to
Look at
run
that.
little
He's on the
Anakin
bike.
over.
He's on that bike. Yeah.
He's on the bike.
That's awesome.
That is really cool.
Yeah. There you go. Okay.
Very, very cool.
Let's do this.
Yeah, indeed. Let's do this. Let's have some fun and show some stuff. So,
yeah, man.
I showed magazines and stuff earlier in one of the other videos, so we'll set those aside. And for those of you who don't know how much I'm addicted, so Whitechapel's been here, but I know others have about I'm addicted to cards. Yeah, this is my binder of cards. And this is like from the 90s. This isn't even the OG stuff. So this is like Star Wars Galaxy. and Finest and stuff like that. So this stuff was just beautiful. I love this. So yeah, you can get Star Wars Galaxy cards very
Well,
inexpensively.
that was from the 90s, Pops.
These are the 90s. So Star
Yeah.
Wars Galaxy came out in 93, 94, 95.
Mhm.
Then in 96, it's Topps Finest. So those are like the sweet spot for me. I love those sets. And obviously it just kind of keeps going from there. But what I loved about the Galaxy cards in the first series is the stuff that's on the back of the cards. So this is the Yoda. Like they did these things where they were showing off like what the concept art was.
Wow.
And then on the back, they show you like some of the other stuff, and then they kind of give you like the design
Oh,
history and
sweet.
stuff like that. So it's just a lot of fun. It's kind of like takes you back to your childhood when we would read these cards to get information and learn stuff.
Did you get the collectible card game, Pops?
I did, and actually I have. This is the Return of the Jedi cards, and I have part of those here too. I have a whole set of these cards.
Oh,
That's from that game.
wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. There's a whole set of those.
Since there's more dedicated collectors than I ever got to be here, did anyone ever solve and put together whatever that massive picture of in the back of one edition of the cards was? If you flip them all over, right? Remember, it was like different
The
parts of
puzzle?
one big picture. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What was it a picture of?
Well, there's different ones depending on which set it is. They add a different one every time. That's what made it kind of cool. It's like, oh my god, and the stickers were different from the cards.
So
if you had to,
yeah.
Yeah, and the boxes to these giveaways, they create a big picture.
I'm gonna say you probably have to have 9 of them to make a block, and it probably makes one big picture. Yeah.
And it's all about the box, right? I still have the box from my AT-AT at home that I got when for Christmas that year, and the box has still got like a thick coat of gloss.
Nice.
You know, all my remaining Star Wars stuff is in there. So like, you know, it's just it's pretty cool. Yeah, one day I'll probably get the most money for the box, right? And be able to sell that one for $4,000.
I got my son the Lego walking AT-AT.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, it is cool. It is so much fun.
I have to say, by far, I have the most collectibles from Revenge of the Sith because I just kept buying. I got every kind of clone trooper. I'm going to retire to a mobile home in Florida one day on that. Someone's going to be like, I have to get the clone trooper with the red shoulder pad.
Oh, you had to. You had to
this
make
is
a region out of them.
Every kind.
Yoda.
Oh yeah, they piece this together. There
Oh,
you go.
yeah, yeah.
See,
And then
very
That is
cool.
Awesome.
She has to have a whole set of them on display. That goes the other
So
side
there-
of his
there
head.
you
There
go.
you go.
There you go.
Almost a little more to your left.
There we
Your
go.
other
There you go.
left.
Yeah.
Oh, you
I
had
think
it.
it's
He had it.
3.
Your
Yeah, it's
there you
3
go.
little ones. So like
Oh,
there's
wow.
2 that are sideways and 2 that
crazy.
are long ways.
Giant puzzle you will make. Collectible boxes you will.
So speaking of puzzle, this is those Galaxy cards have inserts and they're edge cards. So like a foil,
Oh, wow.
and they piece together to
that's
do a
sweet.
puzzle.
Is that
So
how
you
it's
put them in a
shaken?
page. Yeah, these are Howard Shaken cards. No, these are Walt
that's what's up.
Simonson's. These are Simonson cards.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Those
yeah.
are
Now I see.
badass.
That,
Yeah.
Jeez.
And this stuff is not that expensive, guys. They just had mass produced it. So you can get sets that are already put together. You can get, I mean, I don't know what sealed box is going for now because post pandemic, sealed content is expensive like nuts.
Yeah.
But Whitechapel's like my comic card and stuff, bro. Like I have to send you some more stuff, Whitechapel. I've had duplicates of things. I'm like, do you have this one in your set? He has like just this massive collection as well. So yes, Gord King, it's all about the box. Yes, that's freaking great. Yeah, it's all about the box. And I will say, Admiral Teague, you're not probably wrong because people that maybe have an AT-AT that they have restored or whatever, they don't have the box and want one. You may be right. Because you can find the stuff that's in good condition. Like the box is probably one of the hardest things to find in good condition.
That was something also that like it was part of their marketing, right? I mean, this is a big deal. It popped at you. I hate to say it, but it was toy porn, right? Highly glossy, very detailed pictures that evoke an emotional response. It was like you had to have this when you saw this toy in the store. Like your parents were going to hear about it. It's just the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks, make sure you get that email out to Paulie. Make a little note of that over his channel. Make sure you're subbed to everybody that's here, catching everybody's content, that kind of thing. So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gord, make
thank
sure
you
you
so
check
much
it
for
out.
giving us a place to celebrate this day. I appreciate it, Pop.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, I want
You're
and I
the
want
man for
everybody
that.
else to do the same. I want you guys to go out and make your own videos and shorts and stuff like that. And definitely, if nothing else, next year it can be even bigger. And I think Matt and I were talking about it at one point. We were like, listen, we can just make our own stuff. We don't need to rely on them to tell us when and how we reminisce and be nostalgic. And I have no ill will towards prequel babies. I have no ill will to people who love or hate on Star Wars Special. I don't have a problem with Power of the Force steroid figures. It's like I don't care. I just want to have some fun. Like it's good.
How can anyone be anything but agnostic on the holiday special? It's just a thing that happened. It lasted
don't-
like an hour and it was over.
Yeah.
I think it's just because it is extremely weird, and we talk about it too. I mean, literally, it's just like totally like out there. Like it's like an acid trip, man.
I could name 25 Star Wars productions from Disney that are worse off the top of my head. Dances with Sand People is worse than the Star Wars Holiday Special.
That's
I'm
true.
sorry.
That's true.
Book of Boba Fett was worse.
Padawannabe, thank you, bro. And Padawanabe's coming up, like about an hour or so. Padawanabe's video is coming up here soon. So
The
yes.
thing about the holiday special, like I sent Pop some clips from the Muppet Show Star Wars, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like Star Wars was everywhere. There was Star Wars people guest starring on like Regis and Kathy Lee and all sorts of strange, like they'd appear in costumes and they were everywhere from like the late 70s to the mid 80s. Anytime those movies came out, or you'd see like on Romper Room, there'd be Romper Room with Star Wars actors playing, Luke Skywalker. You know what I mean?
I think Mark Hamill has just always loved the fans, right? And seemed to draw some kind of power or some kind of gratitude. Like he just on Twitter, he's a weirdo, but he does love his fans. That comes through over and over.
Yeah. Gonzo with Darth Vader. I loved it.
Hey there, 3PO. How you doing there, buddy? We're going to do some Star Wars tonight.
Yeah.
He was actually called Darth Nadir in the Muppet Show.
I remember that one bit that Mark Hamill did when he was with the Muppets. He was gargling Gershwin.
I remember
Pigs in Space. Oh my gosh, the Pigs in Space part was so good.
So awesome.
I remember
this was so good. Oh my gosh, I remember this so. But see, Matt, this is what we were saying. It's because it's so big and it's so everywhere. There's no way we can even scratch the surface of some of these cool memories and cool things like this. Like I didn't get to Hardware Wars. I didn't get to like the radio program. I didn't get it's like there's just no. Yeah, it's so cool, man. Oh,
I have all three of the radio dramas, of New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, that was on public radio in the States. I have all those recordings.
Yes, awesome.
Do I have the Muppet? I think I have Muppet Babies somewhere.
Yep.
Because I remember them, watching on, or not watching, but listening on public radio back in the day when I lived like basically 20 minutes from the main border, and listening to it, and it was just so enthralling because there was little bits that weren't in the movie that was in the radio drama from, I believe, the one of the original scripts, not the original script, but some of the stuff that was added that they didn't use in the movie that they put in the radio drama. Loved it.
Yeah.
There's some great stuff. Let me show you guys again. This is again going back to my trading card stuff. This is again just extra stuff. Clone War people.
Yes.
Ahsoka. Yeah.
They're beautiful cards. These are really nice for an animated series. Here's Obi-Wan. They're just really, really nice. And then you get these cool action ones where they pull right out of it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I like the Gendy Tartakovsky.
Yeah, man, it's
series.
just some really, really fun stuff that you can get with some of these. And then, like I said, these are like there are like factory sets of these. So these are the silver. This is a silver factory set. See the little thing. So these are harder to come by because they come in a sealed set basically. And I have like that. And then they do these later on. Here's Boba Fett. It's just these beautiful cards, beautiful art, and something you can manage. Here another Slave Leia. There you go. Slave Leia. On a dewback of all things. Yeah. I know.
Yeah, I just want to look, and I could find my comic cards and my art cards, but I couldn't find my science fiction cards. I was like, where did I pack them?
Yep.
Because when you said the Galaxy, I remember having 2 of the 3 of them. Like when I was trying to get the 3rd, but then I stopped collecting cards for like right after that point.
Gord saying working on a biblical perspective on the fall of Anakin. Yeah, no, I love it. I think that Leia Rose, I was able to get her on with me. We did a little spirituality talk with Star Wars. It was very short. We were limited on time, but I think it's great to just have these kind of wonderful conversations about the metaphor and allegories and what George was going for with some of this stuff. Because that's, I think, why it makes it so timeless, is because it can just speak to us in different ways and in different places in our lives and things like that. So, yeah. Yeah. I think, Mags, you were talking about the Galaxy card. You're talking about something else. You let me know. Maybe I'll hook you up, Mags. You never know.
I think it gets lost in like some people have disdain for these hobbies or whatever, but remember Joseph Campbell and The Power of Myth?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
These fandoms are the modern myths, because we don't have, well, you don't worship, ancient beings. Well, I mean, we have religions, but we don't like, they're not as like it used to be. So we don't make up these stories anymore. So now we make up completely independent stories, like that. There's fantasy and whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
That still fulfill the same need, because we have a need for this sort of imagining, even as adults.
Yeah. I mean, hence the reason why they call this a space opera.
It does have a certain Wagnerian quality. If you replace John Williams' music, I mean, John Williams' music is a character, don't get me wrong, but if you replace John Williams' music with Wagner, it would still be highly effective.
True. All right. Before I forget, because I know we're getting close to our time and kind of end here pretty soon, I want to make sure, because I got to take a little bit of a break. Let me run down what's next. So next at 4 p.m. Eastern time. I'm Eastern time, so apply the math to where you are. The TIE Fighter anime short that we do with Brandon, the animated guy. Then after that, it'll be Padawannabe, the prequel toys. That's about an hour. And then Prequel Love, nice, great talk and fan edits with Jace Fox over at 540 Studio. He came in for a great conversation. That's awesome. And then at 6 p.m., I have the Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary stream where I have a great panel coming on for that. And then we'll be back live again after that for a little bit of open mic, and we'll see how long I can stay awake. There you go. Tons of fun. So, yeah, I got to find a way to eat and take care of myself along the way. It's fun, though. I have to be honest. This has just been the blast to be able to get to talk to everybody, reminisce with everybody, learn so much about different things. Like, it's always fun to learn about this toy or that toy or this memory, that thing. There's Jace. By the way, say his name. He just comes rolling in here, right?
Nice.
Bobby, I couldn't get to everything, man. Spaceballs was just such a huge thing, man. It was just like it took you back, and just so much love of all that kind of stuff with spoof. And it just, Bobby, I have a clip that shows up in, I don't know which one it is. It's Padawannabes about merchandising yogurt.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Merchandising.
Someone just mentioned Spaceballs. Star Wars, like anything else that was big, spawned a whole industry of knockoffs and ripoffs and parodies and stuff that depending on where you are, you enjoy. I mean, like the Italian science fiction genre, for those who know the Italian, how far they go with their parodies over there. There's a lot of fascinating movies, things you enjoy, like things that never would have existed if Star Wars didn't exist. Yeah.
Well, and then there's Argo, right? Paul, you've seen Argo for sure, right? The movie Argo, Ben Affleck's Argo, centers around the actual our secret plot during the Iranian crisis, hostage crisis, where they basically going to make a fake science fiction movie in Iran. That's the way they use it as a covert operation to get these people out of this embassy. Just watch the movie, and obviously, just going through what's lifted right out of Star Wars is just amazing. Like, it just takes you right back. And they have all the nostalgia bait shots of the kids' toys and things like that in the beginning and end of the film. But everything just was so changed by this movie. And it's just kind of nuts. It's just kind of nuts. Before we go though, let's do one other little fun thing, which I don't know who has seen something like this or not. So we'll go right there. So let's see. Oh geez, I have so many files on my computer. Oh, there it is.
Don't forget, guys, to email me if you guys want a free Star Wars toy for Star Wars Day to Day. Gord King emailed me. I got plenty more gifts.
Yeah, this is how the news responded to Star Wars. This is so fun. I couldn't believe this.
From Washington today that the administration has decided to give its approval for construction of a nuclear plant. We're going to find out. Douglas Kiker reports.
Star Wars. Alan Ladd Jr., an executive at 20th Century Fox, whose film it is, talked about the reasons for its appeal.
I think it's just good and evil. The simplicity of the whole story is what really makes it work.
Bring in at least 10 times that amount. As a result, the price...
Fantasy world, and I think that it works on that level.
Star Wars cost $9 million to produce. It will bring in at least 10 times that amount.
Anyone know exactly how much that first run made? $454 million.
In 1970s dollars, that's quite a bit.
It's a lot of people.
It's a lot of humans. It's nuts.
Yep.
Yeah, 9 million. They thought they might make 90. They make 454. And that doesn't count any of the merch and all the other stuff that Lucasfilm was basically founded on.
Well, there's a documentary called Empire of Dreams where they go in depth in it. And they thought Star Wars, the studio was like, this is going to be a complete disaster. We just wasted all this money on this Lucas guy. And this is why I tell you, unless you've seen it in the theaters in 77, you've never seen the original Star Wars, because they made him put it out several months before he was actually done with all the special effects. So they put it out, they thought it was going to flop, and it took off. And then they're like, we got to put it in more theaters. But, and then he's like, to make the sequel, he was like, well, if you want me to make the sequel, you got to give me money to finish the first one. And then the version of Star Wars that was put out, like, how it kept getting re-released. So the one that was put out for Empire Strikes Back, that's the version of Star Wars that survives today. It's a completed version, so to speak.
Where it says Episode 4, New Hope, and stuff like that.
Yeah. A cowboy movie set in space. That's Star Wars. It's old-fashioned, escapist entertainment, pure and simple, with no moral, no message. And it appears this is what just about everybody in the country is in the mood for. Douglas Kiker, NBC.
No moral, no message. He just didn't get it. He was just told what to say. But yeah, that's how they looked. But look at the crowd. The crowd's bonkers for seats. This is the Empire Strikes Back approach.
Good Jane Pauley.
This wasn't your usual Hollywood premiere.
Oh, by the way, this is a Special Olympics event. The language used just made me laugh.
Looks like
First of all, it was in Washington, not Hollywood, and there were no searchlights, no long lines of Rolls Royces disgorging celebrities left and right.
By the way, there's this lady in the front there. She's taking cookies, and she's got a whole plate of cookies, and she just keeps taking cookies. It just makes me laugh every time I watch this clip, man. She's got like 25 cookies on her little plate.
This premiere, a benefit, was for children, retarded children and their families, people who participate in the Special Olympics program. The actors...
Here's the cast posing with their photos. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Let's see. We'll get hit with a flag, so I got to kind of move around some stuff so we don't get hit with a flag takedown.
If it was on the news, it only stays news for a few hours. There's a special law regarding news. So because what you're showing was transmitted on the news, you might be safer. I'm not saying do anything different. I'm saying you might be safer.
Nah, just skip it.
I mean, I agree with you, and I will probably win every single. I never lose claims. People, you can feel free to, but it's like they'll tie it all up for like 30 days or some nonsense.
That's what I'm saying.
You just get stuck in this loop where it's I don't do it.
The movie is pure escapism, no big social message. But these days, with the way the world is, there's a lot to escape from. So it's a good bet that many Americans this spring will be going to that galaxy long ago and far, far away.
He says exactly the same thing they said 3 years earlier. Like, well, there's no real message here, but everybody needs this. And you're like, dude, that's nuts. So,
we probably never watched the movies.
No, they don't watch the movies. And they go to NBC Nightly News, and then listen to this. Look at this guy. Holy cow!
It opens in Hollywood. Some will have been waiting in line for more than a week, and it is clear the audience will not be your ordinary mom and pop and the kids.
So this one's even fun. And Paul, you're gonna love this. They actually go to Los Angeles. They start talking about the crime and the homelessness in Los Angeles.
Won't open for 2 more days, but already the lines are down the block. You meet a lot of weird people out here?
None weirder than us.
That's Hollywood.
They're camping out for days, man.
Yeah. that theater does not exist. And that's the thing too. The theater I saw Star Wars in doesn't exist anymore on Sunset.
Yeah, most
The
of the
first
ones I
time.
saw some of the stuff. Yeah, so definitely
Yeah.
whenever you get to Empire and Jedi, those don't exist anymore down here. So
Over the forces of darkness.
Most people you consider bad are on our side. It's like the Force is with us.
The Force is with them occasionally, the police force that is, but for the most part they've gone unmolested, at least for the most part.
yeah, so they start talking about homelessness and people giving them trouble, whatever. These two dorks, they're like, yeah, we'll just take a nap when we get inside. No, you won't. You won't. Yeah.
Return of the Jedi, Part 3 of the Star Wars film phenomenon, which will open nationally tomorrow. And as Mike Jensen reports tonight, hundreds of companies are involved in the Jedi film. For them, the phrase, "May the Force be with you," means let the money roll in.
Good, Mark. Let's see if there's what there was.
You know, I just saw the movie in the theater for the 40th anniversary. You know, they re-released it,
you
right?
saw that. You went and saw it. Yeah. It's fun.
You know, it was such a gorgeous copy, but I honestly did not remember Mark Hamill being that good of an actor in it. He was amazing. Such an amazing performance. And when you see it full screen, you know, even that scene with Leia, which had the corny dialogue, he was so committed. You just can't take your eyes off him. I couldn't take my eyes off of Mark Hamill's performance.
I will say, even with we were talking about Empire earlier, and it's just like, my goodness, the performance scale that they really get out of a sci-fi fantasy film and the emotional range that they're asking these actors to do. I was particularly telling Etep how much I love the Bespin scene where Hans gets frozen, and there's like so much emotions that are happening in this scene with Chewie and Leia and Han and
Absolutely.
and even Lando, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much
Absolutely.
here happening. It's so powerful. My goodness, this is great.
Well, you know, because those actors really rooted it, their performances, their chemistry, it couldn't have gotten better. I mean, it really what made Lucas score that first time around and not score with the prequels was the actors' chemistry with each other. And you know, no matter what worlds and all the craziness is going, when those moments got real human and real emotional, like you bought it because you were already a part of these people's, you know, in their adventures. But yeah, Empire was so, you know, swashbuckling and moving, and you know, and then with Yoda, whereas Return didn't have that gravitas, but it had I'm telling you, it had Mark Hamill's performance. Whatever you think of the Ewoks, you know, they are what they are, but you know,
Hey, listen, I'm down with the. Listen, if we're old enough to remember that the plan was to have Wookiees, and they just had to have half the size. Like, it wasn't like he was trying to create something as disrespectful and as gimmicky as it seems. So,
I wonder if
but
that
guys,
was
that's
purely budgetary, like 7 feet tall people, like 100 of them would have cost way more than short people would have.
Oh yeah, they basically were like half the size would be half the budget and stuff like this, and I'm like, oh geez, Louise. Okay, whatever, sure.
The Wookiee budget. It's like, wait,
yeah,
7 foot.
That's how we
may
ended up
not
there.
have been castable at that point. You know, how many people could? You know, what would you put everyone on sheetrocking stilts?
You
It's
just go
an
down to Venice
interesting
Beach and get all
question.
the bodybuilders. You know, it's like, hey guys,
Bodybuilders aren't necessarily 7 feet tall.
Oh, there are a lot of them who are like 6'5" plus. There's a lot
you
of them.
know, I don't want to talk about the sequels too much, but you know, the thing with Luke's character and obviously the performance in Return, you know, how that story wrapped up. Luke went to the dark side and came back, and so it was when I saw the Return in the theater again a couple of weeks ago, was just reminded of what a travesty they did with Luke Skywalker.
Well, even Mark Hamill was like, that's not Luke Skywalker. That's what everyone called him.
Right. It's almost unforgivable.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
What Paula just said about the conversation on Endor, it's like Mark Hamill is so good during that even though the dialogue might be a little bit weird, this won't be easy to hear, Leia. And it's just like that carries the movie for about 4 or 5 minutes after he leaves the screen when Han Solo walks in and has another equally strange conversation with Leia. You're still sort of going from Mark Hamill being such, the Force is
you go
strong in
from
my family.
right.
It was a moment.
Yeah, because the dialogue is pretty stiff, right? Even Sir Alec Guinness when talked about it, but that particular scene you said where it's 3 characters, Leia's the glue. Fantastic scene, man. Fantastic scene.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Mark Hamill, like you said, Mark Hamill.
Yeah, and and what's also unfortunate. I feel that Harrison just wasn't his best hand. It was kind of like playing a little goofy, a little like shticky.
This will sound sacrilegious, but the only one of the three of them who's actually a really good actor is Mark Hamill. Harrison Ford plays the same guy in everything he does. He plays himself.
I mean, he's a good. Well, Harrison Ford is a great movie star.
Yeah,
but that's different than being an actor.
Yeah.
Like, I would definitely say Hamill has more range for sure. Absolutely.
And most of it's as a voice actor, but that translates. He just
Same
never
thing.
went back to the screen. It does translate.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can even say he was good with what they gave him as Jake, but it was Jake.
Well, he did it. He was an actor. He did the job, so to speak, that he was paid to do. He said what he said about it, which was true. So
I'll never forgive those outtakes where we see him apparently weeping, and he just looks so unhappy, like when he's laying that, after the whole thing with Rey, and he's just like, just leave me alone for a minute. He kind of waves everybody off, and he just stays there. Like, I don't know where I saw it. Maybe you can find it on YouTube. It's definitely part of a few video essays. Yeah, he just doesn't want, like, after he does the scene where Rey yells at him for a while, and he ends up lying there. He's just like Mark Hamill himself is like, just leave me alone for a while.
I'm gonna start.
No, he was really upset about it.
Let's celebrate.
Well, I don't want to stay in this sequel mindset and all of that.
My bad.
It's been no, we're fine. I still want to live there, right? I want to be able to take our chance to escape from that. But I get what you're saying, Paulie.
Right.
When you appreciate Return of the Jedi so much,
right?
When
we're celebrating,
you can kind of articulate. Yeah, you can articulate the differences, and to me, like you said, it makes me appreciate Return of the Jedi even more. So
I didn't mean to bring up a bad movie so much as I meant to bring up Mark Hamill is so dedicated to being Luke Skywalker that he could actually break down after having to act out of character or do something that Luke Skywalker wouldn't do. It's just not in him.
But going back to that magic sauce, it's like Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill. I mean, come on, come on.
It just worked.
One of the greatest trios of and we got them for 3 movies, the 3 originals, and then you had Sir Alec Guinness, then you had Billy D. Williams. Billy D. was amazing. He's
charismatic.
I got to keep showing some love. I got to keep showing some love for my man David Prowse.
Black Star Warrior. It's a sort of Star Wars parody set around Lando Calrissian. You need to go watch it.
Yeah, put in the chat.
I will link for you guys.
But you got to remember too, out of the movie stars at that time, Billy D was a bigger movie star than these guys.
Yeah, than the other two.
Yeah,
sure, especially.
That's true.
I'm telling you. I mean, Alec Guinness was already like big in the 50s.
He's
60s,
like a legend. Yeah,
he's like a British. Yeah, but Billy D was like the man, and he had huge hits in the 70s. So. Just incredible.
He was Frank Mr. Colt 45 when this movie dropped, guys. I mean, to be honest, so like 1980, he's Mr. Colt 45. He was Mr. Smooth doing these commercials, and it was just like, wow, this dude is cool, man.
Who remembers him on the Jeffersons?
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh my God, it's Billy Williams! Everyone just said that over and over throughout the whole episode.
Yeah, yeah, it's Billy Williams. Yeah.
Oh, he was so.
Brian's song.
He still is pretty suave.
Yes, Brian's song was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did
Mahogany.
He did some like romance films, I think, in the 70s too, that it was big on. I know one with Diana Ross. My mom loved that film.
Mahogany.
Was it Mahogany?
Matt, what are you sending me, Matt?
That is the Black Star Warrior, a fan film that was done on the 30th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back. And it's like as Star Wars as if it were about Lando Calrissian, basically.
Oh, is this in the chat, private chat?
Yeah.
Yeah, I asked him to send it to me. I'll
No
watch
problem.
it later.
No problem. Well, guys, I have to take
Thanks,
a little
bud.
bit of a break in between things. This has been awesome, man. It's always fun
Yeah,
doing
always
this.
awesome.
It's great. More videos coming, the live streams later, that kind of thing. So listen, you guys, thanks so much. Happy Star Wars Day. We'll go around real quick. Mike, any last thoughts? Any other little things you want to kind of throw out there real quick?
Well, let's see. I mean, for all of you guys in the chat, as you know, I am the Comic Relief Crusader, and every Tuesday we have a Titillating Tuesdays talk where we just try to talk about anything that happens to be in my scabby little brain at the time and talk about everything that's going on, particularly with Admiral Teague, who shows up and talks about whatever happens to be in the New York Times and what's going on in comics and film and TV and all that kind of good stuff. And where we just try to talk about the things going on in pop culture and how we can go ahead and try to save it and bring some sanity back to everything that's going on in our beloved entertainment communities. And I want to thank you, Pop, for having me on.
Admiral Teague?
I want to echo what Comic Relief just said, and thank you for having me on. My name is Admiral Teague. I do Star Trek mostly on my channel. We do Star Wars, but the channel's named Admiral Teague. And then I don't know, Mike, are we still on for Saturday for part 2 of season 1 of SNW and all the joy that we had together?
You got it, dude.
Right? Okay, so you can catch me on YouTube and Rumble. You know what? The thing is, we can't save the stories, but when we do it together and watch the show together, at least we can make Star Trek fun again because we're laughing and we're having a good time, and it detoxifies the experience. And we have an obligation to watch this because we have to warn people and document these crimes against popular culture, as the medievalist said earlier. These are our modern myths, and they should be protected and jealously guarded. And I make no apologies.
Very much.
And the
Very
Comic
much. No
Relief
problem.
Crusader is absolutely one of the funniest guys on YouTube. Everyone should sub him. And Pop, thank you again.
Awesome. Matt?
So my channel's Unbearable 73.
I try.
I kind of review stuff like shows I'm watching or whatever, books I read. So it's a little slow going right now. Work's been kind of annoying lately. For Star Wars related, if you want to see something funny but cute, go look at videos of parents recording their children reacting to the Luke, I am your father scene. It's probably one of the funniest things you'll ever. Kids are like the facial expression for it. It's like,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, Paulie.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the invite. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Much love to Magitech Mags.
Yes.
And
Mag's been awesome.
The homies here on the panel. Good hanging with y'all. Star Wars related, I did it's like a 13-minute video on me getting the Thrawn action figure. So we talk details. We show some videos of like this this review on it. It was really cool. That's up. That's new. Got new videos all the time. If you guys want, so Star Wars related, I put up a fun kind of like animated drawing of celebrating Star Wars today on my community post on my YouTube channel, and we're doing something new almost every day. So yeah, Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for doing this. Make sure you check everybody out here and hang out. Join us for us our videos and streams later on today. And listen, guys, just have some fun. Enjoy your fandom. Star Wars Day. It's awesome. And with that, we will just go out with a little ad. This is a total OG Emperor ad, and that's how we'll close out, guys. Take care.
Star Wars Return of the Jedi is here. From it, Kenner brings you 65 incredible Star Wars action figures, each sold separately. And now Kenner reveals yet another from the dark side of the Force, the Supreme Master, the Emperor, and he's yours free just by sending 5 proofs of purchase from any Star Wars action figures to Return of the Jedi, Box 596, Young America, Minnesota. But hurry, this